You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 341, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam, 2. Chapter 341, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam, 2. The first 10 achievement points. Moreover, if he didn't enter the top 3, he would be finished. Those two had a total of 1,300 achievement points waiting for him. Suyu smiled. He said, "Everyone, just try your best to take the exam. Don't let your imagination run wild because of me. Take as many exams as you can. In the academy, there will be records of the exam results. I know that some students said before that I can enter the top 3 without having to take the exam." Suyu said seriously, "Don't be like this. Don't delay your future because of me. Everyone, do what you should do. Otherwise, I really won't have the face to continue staying in the intermediate class. If I can't get into the top 3, that's my own problem. It's best if I get into the top 3, but if I can't, then I'll continue next month." Suyu smiled and said, "So don't go easy on me. Really, going easy on me is the biggest disrespect to me. No matter what, I'm still a genius, right? I'm the only top-tier student in our class. If I can't get into the top 3, I'll have to rely on everyone to make me. I might as well quit school. It's too embarrassing. I also want my face." Suyu said these words with a joking tone. When the crowd heard this, some of the students who were about to give up on the exam couldn't help but turn serious at this moment. Yes, the greatest respect to the class monitor was to do well in the exam. Suyu said again, "And everyone must do well. I'm the class monitor. If the students in our class don't do well in the exam, then I, as the class monitor, will not do my duty. I will deduct my merit points." Suyu laughed and said, "Assistant Instructor Lu is right here. When the merit points are deducted, you have to compensate me." "Who said that the class monitor isn't doing his job?" Lu Wu said loudly. "The class monitor is the first to arrive in the classroom every day and the last to leave. If anyone withholds the class monitor's merit points, ask the 600+ people in our class whether they agree or not." "That's right." On the stage, Lu Hong still had a smile on his face, as if he had not heard anything. This little fellow still played such a trick on him. He was too inexperienced. When they were almost done speaking, Lu Hong lightly coughed and interrupted everyone. He smiled and said, "I've said what I should say. What should be assessed is going to be assessed. The morning test will be the culture class and the monthly test. What will be assessed is the degree of progress, so those languages that you have mastered in the past will not be assessed in the higher education examination. It's meaningless. The main test will be to assess the speed of your progress this month. Therefore, the culture class test will be the corresponding language course that you have registered for, the basic course of divine literature. The rules are similar to the higher education examination. Each course will have 10 points. The full score is not decided by me, but by you yourselves. The courses that you have signed up for this month, and the number of courses that you have signed up for, will determine the full score." Lu Hong smiled faintly and said, "This is an institution that teaches according to your aptitude. You will get as many points as you have the ability. No one will stop you from signing up for any course. For the examination, your full score is 10 points. You cannot blame others for the poor results." As he spoke, he looked at Suyu and said, "Student Suyu, you signed up for a total of 15 courses this month. Be careful of your choices and the time of the exam. Don't get a full score of 150 points. If you end up getting 20 to 30 points, that would be embarrassing." He then said, "I see that your condition isn't good. If you don't want to take the exam, you can give up." Suyu raised his head. His face was pale, but he still had a smile on his face as he said, "Teacher, I will do my best." Lu Hong saw his smile, and he was slightly stunned. "Little bastard. What are you trying to learn from me? You're talking to me with a smile, and I feel a little awkward." "That's good. Do your exams well and don't cheat. If you think you can cheat under my nose, you can try." The examination papers were quickly distributed. According to the courses that the students had signed up for, different examination papers were distributed. In a civilized university, there was no unified examination paper. How many marks one could get depended entirely on oneself. There was a lower limit, but there was no upper limit, because this was an unfair era. The gap between geniuses and mediocrity was very big. Some people in the class signed up for fewer courses, maybe only 2 or 3. Some people signed up for more courses. For example, Su Yu. He had no choice but to sign up for so many courses because he had to attend all of them. When Su Yu received the examination papers, he felt a little dizzy. He had really overused himself last night. In addition, he had not had time to recover, so he still had a splitting headache. However, fortunately, he had gotten used to it. Back then, when he had nightmares, he would often do the same thing the next day. He would still attend classes at the academy, so he was actually more or less used to it. It was just that it had been some time since he had such an experience, which made Su Yu feel a little uncomfortable. 15 examination papers, 12 basic language courses, and 3 courses related to divine literature. Su Yu rubbed his temples as he began to write the examination papers. On the podium, Lu Hong stared at it for a moment before he sauntered out of the classroom. In front of him was the advanced class examination hall. Today was also an examination. Lu Hong walked out of the classroom and looked in through the window. Almost all of this year's geniuses were here. The Divine Literature Academy was the most powerful academy in the academy, and it was filled with geniuses. Xia Chan, Wu Lan, Jing Yunhui, Xia Huyo, Lin Yao, Wan Mingze of the Wan family, Zhao Shiqi of the Zhao family, Hu Qiuxing of the Hu family, and Hu Zongqi whom Su Yu met on the road. There were many people. Of course, Lu Hong wasn't looking at them, but at a few other people. Strange students. The pavilion elders who weren't planning to take in disciples this year suddenly took in a few students in secret. When the news spread, it shocked the entire upper circle. Those few students were all very mysterious. It was said that they were all precious geniuses of their respective families. They had always been hidden in the past. Who would have thought that because of the establishment of the Myriad Clan Academy this year, these people would all come out? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 342, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam, 3. Chapter 342, Chapter 100 Monthly Exam. At this moment, some of the students were sleeping on their desks. Some were looking up at the ceiling in a daze. And some were munching on sunflower seeds. Lu Hong frowned and muttered in his heart, the hidden geniuses of each family. Why didn't I know about the existence of this group of people? Could it be that there were such geniuses in previous years, but they didn't appear in the Great Xia mansion later on? These guys. I can't help but feel that something isn't right. They were cynical. They weren't arrogant, nor were they domineering. However, when they saw anyone, they would always act like they didn't care. Even when they saw Lu Hong, they would politely nod their heads and didn't make any unnecessary moves. The situation has changed. Everyone has come out. Lu Hong stared at those people for a while. It seemed that someone felt his gaze. One of the chubby little boys turned his head to look out of the window. When he saw Lu Hong, he bared his teeth and smiled. There was even a bit of bread crumbs on his teeth. This person was eating just now. Lu Hong did not say anything and slowly left. Just as he left, a few cynical fellows in the classroom began to transmit telepathic messages. I'm not doing it anymore. I want to leave, and the monthly exam still requires us to take the exam. We haven't taken the exam for decades, and they actually want us to take the exam. Exactly, it's too boring. I want to go back and sleep. Stop fooling around. I still want to go back and do some research. One Tianxing said that whoever dares to run away will be unlucky. This bastard. The few of them talked back and forth, but the invigilators didn't find anything. Although they saw that the few of them weren't serious about the exam, they couldn't be bothered to care about it. It was up to them whether they wanted to take the exam or not. The few old fellows chatted as they commented, "Look, that Xia Chan from the Xia family is pretty good. As expected of a monster. I just don't know how she got Zhou Mingren to be her teacher. Is Fatty Xia hooking up with Zhou Mingren? Who knows? Xia Chan and Fatty Xia don't look alike at all. On the other hand, that kid Xia Huyo looks a little like Fatty Xia. I even suspect that Fatty Xia is faking it. Luckily, I only saw Fatty Xia 2 days ago. Xia Huyo is the manor head's biological son. Don't mess around. His grandnephew looks like Fatty Xia, it's not a big problem. If you dare to say such words in front of the manor head, be careful of being hacked to death by him. Cough cough, don't spout nonsense, all of you shut up. Xia Huyo, that brat, hasn't liked practicing martial arts since he was young. He likes to delve into martial arts. He's been with Fatty Xia for 7 to 8 years, so it's normal for him to look like him. Not to mention the fellow from the Xia family, none of them are good. Wan Mingze, that brat, isn't like the Myriad Sage. When the Myriad Sage was young, he was incomparably tyrannical. Why does this brat feel a little sinister? He's not Wan Tianqing's biological grandson. Wan Tianqing's brother's grandson. How normal is that? That's true. On the Hu family's side, Hu Qiusheng, this kid, is a little interesting. He feels much stronger than Hu Wensheng. The few elders were commenting. Finally, they talked about Wulan and other things. Someone said telepathically, this little girl, her talent is actually not bad. It's just that she's a little, silly and arrogant. She looks at everyone with her nostrils. If I wasn't afraid of her great-aunt, I would have slapped her away long ago. The last time she looked at me, her nostrils almost flew up into the sky. Ahem, she's already so old, yet she still wants to argue with her. Someone laughed. She looks at everyone like that. It's good that she's experienced a lot. Her heart isn't bad, but she's a little silly. The few of them laughed, but on the surface, their expressions did not change. Those who were supposed to sleep slept, and those who were supposed to eat ate. After chatting for a while, they talked about Suyu. Bai Feng's disciple, what do you guys think? I've never seen him before. I don't know what's going on. Challenging Lin Yao, do you guys think there's a chance? Lin Yao. Lin Yao might not be able to win. Bai Feng, that kid isn't stupid either. He's shrewd and ruthless. If there's really no chance, he would have interfered long ago. Those who don't care about it now probably have the confidence. As he spoke, another person said, let's not talk about these students anymore. Let's talk about Lu Hong. Not only did that fellow suddenly become the head instructor of the freshmen, he recently went to the mystic realm and broke through to the 8th level of the soaring heaven realm. Now, he's not in closed-door cultivation anymore. He's loitering around the academy all day long. What does that brat want to do? Who knows? That brat. I can tell with a single glance that he's not a good person. Just now, he was peeping at us from behind and kept staring at us. I suspect that this fellow is suspecting something. Let me tell you, who was exposed by him. Hee, the ones who are embarrassed are you, not me. Who was exposed? When I think of the elders pretending to be young, pretending to be grandsons, pretending to be granddaughters. Hee, you guys can go to hell. Why don't we secretly beat him up and let him go into seclusion with injuries so that he won't stare at us all day long? Get lost, you do this kind of thing, but I won't do it. They chatted idly, and soon someone laughed and said, Su Yu and Lin Yao's challenge. This kid from the Xia family opened the bet. That fatty Xia isn't a good-for-nothing. He wants to deduct our salaries every day. Why don't we bet on it? Open the bet. How do we open the bet? We bet on Su Yu winning. 1:1, 5. We bet on Lin Yao winning. 1:1, 1. The plate isn't small yet. I heard that the bet on Lin Yao's win is at least thousands of merit points. It hasn't even started yet. That much? We bet on Su Yu. It's good to be cold-blooded. Only then can we earn a little. The Xia family is rich. We can afford to lose. Just as the elders were about to bet on Su Yu, someone said faintly, why are we betting on Su Yu? We want to take all of them. When the plates are big enough, we'll take them all. We'll make an illegal trade and sweep them all. Who are we betting on? Who are we? We're elders. Shanghai Realm. We're even playing a game of pick and choose with children. We'll take all of them. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 343, Chapter 100 Monthly Examination. Chapter 343, Chapter 100 Monthly Examination, 4. At this moment, the pavilion elders instantly fell silent. They all looked at the pavilion elder who spoke. You're ruthless. They were convinced. They were still prepared to bet on who to play with. Yet, you wanted to directly end it. You're not an individual. They didn't expect this person to add, after we end it, we'll capture Xia Huyo and punish him. We'll make the Xia family pay to redeem him. Hee, it's not enough to eat all of them. We must make Fatty Xia pay more. Will Fatty Xia pay? He'll pay to redeem him. I don't think he'll care at all. What are you thinking about? The pavilion elder who suggested taking all the money said sinisterly, of course Fatty Xia won't care. He's the manor head's son anyway. Who would dare to do anything to Xia Huyo? We can't do anything to him either, but, that's what the pavilion elder can't do. Who are we? We're students. This pavilion elder chuckled and said, we're students, we're all good-natured. Don't be afraid, we'll beat up Xia Huyo the next day, and then we'll beat up Xia Chan the next day. Fatty Xia won't pay for it, so we'll beat them up every day. The pavilion elders looked at this person with some disdain. Shameless. He really thought of himself as a student. Was he embarrassed? But let's not talk about it. Everyone had their own grudges to take revenge on. Fatty Xia's descendant, Old Hu's descendant, Old Zheng's descendant. They could all be beaten up. Of course, the pavilion elders couldn't attack, but the students wouldn't have any problems. The pavilion elders were discussing doing bad things. Su Yu was groggily taking the exam. Many of the students had already finished writing. Su Yu didn't manage to finish the exam papers until the bell rang. Lu Hong had already returned. At this moment, he had already finished reviewing and approving quite a number of papers. When Su Yu finished, he reached out and grabbed the papers in his hand. With a glance, he looked at them for a while, he said, 120 points. It's average. There were a few that did not do well in the test. They could clearly be correct, but they were wrong. Su Yu did not say anything. As he continued to write, he was really a little confused. In the culture class, you are ranked third. The first is Wang Yun, 140 points. The second is Qian Hong, 130 points. You and Hu Ming are both ranked third, 120 points. Lu Hong's memory was very strong. He directly reported the students' rankings. Suyu attended many classes, but there were also people who attended many classes. He was also a little stimulated by Suyu. As the class monitor, Suyu attended all the classes. Some students also reported as much as they could. Suyu did not say anything. With 120 points, he barely managed to maintain third place. This was not the end yet. This afternoon's assessment will test willpower and divine runes. Lu Hong said calmly, just like the higher education assessment, within the scope of the civilized will assessment, the score is very simple. The current score minus the higher education assessment score is your monthly assessment score. The academy values the ability to improve, not letting you lie on the merit list and wait for death. Some people might even get a negative score. Negative score. He was obviously talking about Suyu. He had scored 270 points in the higher education entrance examination and walked 27 meters. If this time he was not as good as before, then he would get a negative score. The civilized academy did this so that the students could continue to improve and not continue to regress. Suyu was speechless and could not be bothered to say anything. He would be able to recover after he went back for a rest in the afternoon. Did he really think that he was useless? He just didn't want you to be proud of yourself. In the afternoon, you insisted on getting a high score. I'll piss you off to death. After the morning assessment ended, Suyu's condition wasn't good. He didn't mess around with the students and went back to rest early. When he went back to sleep and woke up, Suyu ran to the filter room to cultivate again. He suddenly realized that something was different. In the filter room. Suyu blinked. He wasn't too sure. He was curious. Did he have a breakthrough? He really wasn't too sure. Before this, he actually knew that his willpower existed. He could even feel the existence of his sea of consciousness. But today, he discovered something different. If he could only sense it before, then now, he seemed to be able to see it. If he could be said to have been idealistic before he cultivated his nature, he could only rely on his own imagination. Today, he seemed to really see the existence of his willpower. Suyu stared at his clothes. Gradually, there were some changes to his clothes. It seemed to have been pierced by a needle. No, it was really pierced. With a PFFT, a hole appeared on his clothes. In Suyu's eyes, he could see that a somewhat transparent needle had pierced through his clothes. Others might not be able to see it, or perhaps it could only be felt after recuperating. At this moment, Suyu also felt it and discovered it. This was because this needle was condensed by his willpower. Really recuperated? Suyu's face was dull. Didn't they say that there was a small threshold to reach recuperation? Why didn't he feel it? He just directly cultivated his character. How strange. Suyu blinked, but he still didn't understand. Could it be that he had used up too much willpower last night? Now, the feedback came. After all, looking at the will text written by a Shanghai realm cultivator was also a form of resistance, not to mention that he had been fighting with the divine text for an entire night. Cultivating his character. Suyu muttered. In the next moment, he suddenly thought of something. Literary soldiers. Then can I use literary soldiers? Damn. Then I feel that I will become very strong. Also, I have to cultivate my nature. I seem to be able to officially enter the cultivation course of the multi-divine prose lineage. Once he cultivated his nature, he would have too many things to do. Suyu felt a little expectant. Soon, he thought of Lin Yao and Qin Qi. Since I have cultivated my mind, will the two of you die horribly? I'll just cultivate my mind like this. While Suyu was delighted, he also felt a little disappointed. Where was the threshold that he had agreed upon? Where was the bottleneck that he had agreed upon? Why didn't he have it? It was so unbearable. There was no threshold, no bottleneck. If I were to break through, there would be no sense of accomplishment. Seeing that it was almost time for the examination, he couldn't be bothered to feel uncomfortable anymore. He went to the examination first and told his teacher that he had achieved a breakthrough when he returned. He still felt a little uncomfortable, but there was no sense of satisfaction at all. He had been looking forward to it for so many days, but it was all in vain. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 344, Chapter 101 Storm 1. Chapter 344, Chapter 101 Storm 1. The assessment in the afternoon was not conducted in the classroom. The assessment venue was in the mission area. There were several large squares here, which were specially made for students to come and listen to lectures. The space was very large and also very spacious. Suyu did not have many opportunities to come here. Although he heard that sometimes some researchers would come and give lectures for free, he had been too busy recently and really did not have the time to come. Lu Hong wasn't the only one who was free during the afternoon assessment. When it came to the assessment of willpower and divine runes, teaching couldn't be done. Only researchers could do it. This assessment wasn't just limited to intermediate class students. Square 2. This was the assessment venue for intermediate class students. It was right next to Square 1, but it was the assessment venue for advanced class students. Of course, they were all talking about this batch of students. There were also other batches of students. Their assessment was different from the new students, so they did not appear here. Square 3 was the beginner class assessment site. When Suyu arrived, it was not early. Everyone understood him. They knew that he was not feeling well today, so no one was surprised that he came so late. Seeing that Suyu's face had become much redder, the students felt a lot more at ease. He had finally recovered a little. As soon as he arrived, someone immediately went forward and reported in a low voice, "Class monitor, the advanced class students are also here for the assessment. That guy Lin Yao will definitely come later." Suyu nodded and smiled lightly. "So be it." "No." Lu Wu said in a low voice, "Class monitor, you're not feeling well. If today's exam is, if it's negative, these bastards will definitely laugh at you." He was a little worried for Suyu. Suyu was not feeling well. He had heard that there were people who had questioned whether he had really reached the standard of upper class. If he had a negative score now, it would be embarrassing. At that time, there were rumors that there was a problem with the Southern Yuan civilization. Today was also the civilization assessment, so Lu Wu was worried for Suyu. Young people still cared about face. "It's okay." Suyu replied and looked at Square 1 not far away. There were not many people there, much less than the intermediate class. There were actually quite a lot of advanced class students this year. There were about 100 of them. 100 of them were cultivating their temperaments. For a Divine Arts Academy to have 100 freshmen in the advanced class was actually not a small number. When Suyu looked at Square 1, there were also people from the advanced class looking in his direction. Intermediate class no one can let them pay attention to, but Suyu, worthy of their attention. Today is the test of civilization. Someone said it meaningfully, with a face full of mockery. Superior genius Suyu. Non-congenial, the first non-congenial stage of superior, do you think it is strange? As it happens, there was a problem with the civilization of the Southern Yuan dynasty. It was really strange. Today, whether it was a mule or a horse, they had to drag it out for a walk. If it was a negative score, it would be a joke. Back then, Suyu had scored 270 points. Even among the students of the advanced class, many did not score this high. Under normal circumstances, if a nurturing nature student was not too stunning, walking 20 meters would already be considered pretty good. Wulan had only walked 18 meters during the assessment that day. Of course, she had also just recovered at that time. Her willpower was not strong enough, so she could only be considered average. They were chatting in a low voice. In the crowd, some people were burning with anger. Su Yu was still watching from the side. On the side of the advanced class, Wulan suddenly shouted coldly, "You, go to the arena today. I want to challenge you." The voice was very loud. The attention of the 3 students in the square was all attracted. Wulan raised her head and looked down at a young man in front of her. It was none other than Hu Zongqi, who had entered the school at the same time as Su Yu and was in the same car as him. Wulan raised her head high. Ignoring Hu Zongqi's flushed face, she shouted coldly, "Trash is trash, and you just have to find excuses for yourself. Is your civilized will broken? If it's broken, you can take the upper class exam first. You trash, what right do you have to look down on others? Go to the arena. If I can't kill you in 3 moves, I, Wulan, will drop out of school myself." The entire arena was silent. Wulan was incomparably arrogant. She was indeed angry because in the Southern Element exam, with her around, she was also one of them. These people kept talking about Su Yu. In her opinion, they were actually talking about her. What right did this trash Hu Zongqi have to look down on her? Although she also looked down on this trash, it was natural for her to look down on Hu Zongqi. She was a superior class, and Hu Zongqi was a superior class, so what right did he have to criticize her? He was not worthy. Hu Zongqi's face was red, and he was a little angry from embarrassment. Someone beside him gently tugged at his sleeve. Hu Zongqi woke up and said through gritted teeth, "Wulan, I didn't say that you. Trash, you dare to say it but don't dare to admit it." Wulan shouted, "You are a sinister little person. You only dare to fan the flames behind my back. Your civilized will is ruined, and you, a trash, can't even pass the upper class exam. Now you're denying it. You're a disgrace. You're not a thing." Wulan looked around and snorted coldly. "If you're not convinced, feel free to look for me. I've accepted all of them. A bunch of trash. They can't pass the upper class exam on their own. They only know how to slander others and find excuses for their own incompetence." As she spoke, she looked at another student and said disdainfully, "What are you looking at? No matter how I look at you, you're still trash. Don't think that I didn't hear you. The next time you dare to spout nonsense in front of me, I'll cripple you." Arrogant. The student who was being looked at by her had an extremely ugly expression. Wulan was too arrogant. No one said anything about her. In fact, when they brought up the matter of destroying civilization, they usually directly ignored Wulan. Ahem, little did they know that this kind of disregard was even more unbearable. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 345, Chapter 101 Storm 2. Chapter 345, Chapter 101 Storm 2. Can you at least say something about me? You look down on Su Yu every day. Say something about me. I was there too. And I didn't even score higher than Su Yu. In Wu Lan's opinion, if you all look down on Su Yu, then doesn't that mean that I'm not worth mentioning in your eyes? Looking down on me? This is too much. These bastards are too much of a bully. Today, they said these things in front of her again. She was furious. Impressive. Su Yu only wanted to give Wu Lan a thumbs up secretly. Impressive. Overbearing. I felt pretty good. I knew long ago that this woman was silly. She was able to hold a grudge even when I didn't provoke her. You people always say that you are uncivilized. Aren't you offending her to death? It's not good for me to teach you guys a lesson. Now someone is teaching you guys a lesson. I've said it before. If I instigate her a little, she'll dare to find fault with the entire academy. As expected, I didn't misjudge you. Su Yu was secretly delighted. If Wu Lan were to target him, then he would really feel extremely uncomfortable and wronged. I didn't provoke you, so why are you looking for trouble with me? However, Wu Lan wasn't targeting him. She was also doing the same thing to others. That sour feeling was too refreshing. Hu Zongqi, this brat, had mocked him previously. Now, he had been slapped in the face. Do you dare to challenge Wu Lan one-on-one? Her elder sister, the genius teaching assistant, was now at the 9th layer of the Sky Realm. Her great-aunt, a Mountain Sea Realm expert, and a big shot of the Divine Pill Academy. Her elder sister's disciple was now a student of the top 100. The top 100 was also a student, and it was also a form of self-cultivation. If you provoked Wu Lan, her elder sister and great-aunt might not teach you a lesson. There would naturally be people on the top 100 who would teach you a lesson. The atmosphere was stagnant. And that was not all. In the next moment, someone said faintly, I'm participating in the Southern Element main examination. Why am I being used as a negative example every day? My civil will is broken, so the examination is not allowed. Does this mean that I, Huang Yao, am favoritism and cheating? In the air, a person stepped on the air and came over. Examiner Huang. The Southern Element main examiner. Huang Yao was also holding his breath. Damn it, all of you have had enough. What do you know? It was one thing for him to be punished for his meritorious deeds, but every day, a group of little bastards were muttering to themselves, saying that their civilization was ruined, and that the Southern Element assessment was not approved. Didn't you see that Assistant Instructor Huang was also punished? Huang Yao was so aggrieved. He was about to explode from anger. All of you are questioning my character. Originally, he was already full of dissatisfaction after being punished for his meritorious deeds, but these bastards were still saying that it was unfair every day. How could he not be angry? Huang Yao came flying over, his voice was cold as he said, I would like to see what kind of results you bunch of people who doubt others can achieve during the assessment later. If you can do well in the assessment, then needless to say, if you can do badly in the assessment, what right do a bunch of trash have to gossip behind your back? When he reached middle-aged, he originally thought that his heart was as still as water. However, this year was not going well and he had been unlucky time and time again. He was also holding it in. He was so angry. Was Nan Yuan's assessment not real? *T. He felt that there was no other assessment that was more real than Nan Yuan's. He was not close to Su Yu, and there was even Lu Hong who greeted and suppressed Su Yu. He felt that no one's results were more real than Su Yu's. These bastards just had to say that Su Yu could not do it. Weren't they doubting himself? Please calm down, Assistant Huang. Someone laughed and said, a bunch of kids. They're a little chatty. Let's not argue with them. Another person came. A teacher from the advanced class also flew into the air. Some of the teachers for the basic courses in the advanced class might be researchers. Huang Yao turned his head to take a look and snorted coldly. He thought it was someone else, but when he saw the person who came, he immediately said impolitely, child. If you go to a civilized academy, then you are a high-level talent, a proud genius, and a reserve warrior. Who would treat you like a child? If anyone dares to say anything indiscriminately and question the fairness of the Southern Element assessment, that would be slandering my reputation. When that time comes, don't blame me for being impolite. With that, Huang Yao looked at Su Yu over there, he said in a clear voice, Su Yu, when it's time to stand up, stand up. Let those people see what a genius is. Don't hide yourself again and again. Keep a low profile. You can't stop trash's mouth. Only by stepping on them hard can we let them understand that they are really trash. Huang Yao. The newcomer soared into the air and looked at Huang Yao with some surprise. Huang Yao used to be very low-key. Today, he was so angry that he flew into a rage at a group of geniuses. Wasn't he afraid that these people would come looking for trouble with him when they grew up in the future? Huang Yao seemed to know what he was going to say and did not think much of it. He said lightly, "Today is my last monthly exam. Next month, I will be entering the Department of Strengthening Education. I'm sorry, I forgot to tell you. And all of this is because I did meritorious service in the main exam of the Southern Yuan dynasty. My civilized will was ruined, but I did meritorious service in the main exam. Hee, is it interesting?" There was a hint of ridicule, a hint of ridicule. Was it interesting? Was it interesting? I've been promoted. I've gone to the strong education department. Although Director Sun said that he was useless, he was still from the same school after all. Moreover, that time, he was also considered to have suffered an undeserved calamity and was fined 100 merit points. He felt somewhat apologetic, so he helped him operate it and entered the strong education department. Although the Department of Strong Education was not as powerful as the Great Xia Civilization University, it was still considered a subordinate organization of the Civilization University in name. Moreover, the teaching assistants of the university were not worth much. Once he was there, he could still become a small leader. When he returned to the university, the official researchers would have to be polite when they saw him. The reason why he was able to enter the Department of Strong Education was because of his trip to the Southern Yuan dynasty. Now, he had been questioned repeatedly. If he did not speak up, others would think that he was made of mud. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 346, Chapter 101 Storm 3. Chapter 346, Chapter 101 Storm. Congratulations. At this moment, another person came. Lu Hong brought a few coaches along with him. These coaches were in charge of miscellaneous tasks while the three of them were in charge of the main examination for the three classes. Lu Hong chuckled and said, "Assistant Instructor Huang has been promoted and received a raise. Congratulations. Some small matters have passed. The examination is more important." When Huang Yao saw Lu Hong, he felt a little apprehensive and nodded. He said, "I don't want to bicker with these people either. However, they continue to provoke the strong. If they don't make a sound, they will really think that I, Huang Yao, am easy to bully. Relying on the fact that I have a few elders in the academy, they are arrogant and unbridled. When I enter the strong education department, I will definitely suggest that the next round of the higher education assessment be properly organized." Huang Yao said in a clear voice, "When the time comes, we'll see. Students from large families, I suggest that those who have used the text of will and Yuan Qi liquid in advance will lose 50 points in the assessment." Boom! The moment these words were said, it instantly boiled. Lu Hong's pupils constricted. The other researcher's expression also changed as he shouted, "Huang Yao, be careful with your words." However, Huang Yao seemed to have been stimulated today. He shouted, "What's there to be careful about? When I joined the Department of Strengthening Education, would definitely make such a suggestion. I would write a letter to the director of the Department of Strengthening Education, a letter to Lord Xia, a letter to the manor head. I would break the monopoly of the wealthy families, and let the disciples of the humble families have a chance to stand out. The wealthy families have a monopoly, and the humble families have declined. The wealthy families are a bunch of trash, yet they still dare to speak rudely and question the geniuses of the humble families. What a joke! The sky had changed. At this moment, Lu Hong was shocked. Huang Yao definitely did not say this unintentionally. He definitely did not say it out of anger. He did it on purpose. He had a purpose. Breaking the monopoly of the rich and powerful, Huang Yao, who was born in a humble class, was definitely not making this statement unintentionally. There must be someone supporting him, or even deliberately testing him here. They were ready to use Su Yu's matter to make a move. Something big was going to happen. It was going to be an eventful time. The struggle between the wealthy class and the humble class had not stopped for hundreds of years. The humble class had been declining in the past, but over the years, some powerhouses in the military had risen and the humble class had risen. There was also a group of geniuses from the humble class among the civilized masters. These people were going to join forces. The students might not have understood and thought that he was angry about what had happened before, but Lu Hong knew that something big had really happened. Huang Yao had passed the age of no doubts and was no longer as sharp as before. This time, he had suddenly been transferred to the strong nurturing department. The disciples of the humble class had no one to rely on. With the strength of the soaring realm, it was not that easy to enter the strong nurturing department. Moreover, he had even made such a statement during the monthly examination for the freshmen. It was obvious that he had been prepared for this. The humble class was going to retaliate. There might really be a big change in next year's higher education examination. On the other side, after Huang Yao said these words, he looked at Suyu once again. He said loudly, "The best way to deal with doubts is to slap their faces. Go ahead and take the examination. Today, I, Huang Yao, am here. Whoever dares to cheat or play favorites will have to see whether the strong education department agrees or not." Huang Yao. Wang Peiyuan. Huang Yao shouted back, as the assistant teaching assistant of the humble class that rose to prominence, a soaring civilized master. Is this how you manage the students of the advanced class? What's the use of raising a bunch of arrogant trash? Are these people willing to fight for the human race on the battlefield after so many years? Will these people join the myriad clan cult after encountering setbacks? How different are these people from the myriad clan when they suppressed the humble class and the humble class? If that's the case, instead of letting the wealthy class suck the blood of the humble class, why not let the myriad clan slaughter their way in? It's the same as being a slave to anyone. The human race's unity lies in the hearts of the people, not the rich and powerful clans that hold up the heavens. The Huang Yao today was completely different from the one Suyu met in the southern Yuan. When a person had a fighting spirit, a goal, a dream, and a philosophy, many things changed. Huang Yao was still the same Huang Yao, but he was no longer the Huang Yao who was just waiting to die. At this moment, Huang Yao said loudly, "A civilized master born in the humble class is no worse than anyone else. We are also contributing to the human race. We are also fighting on the battlefield of the heavens. We are bleeding, and we are giving. Therefore, we are also the backbone of the human race. Don't feel inferior, don't be cowardly, and don't be afraid of the wealthy class. The sky hasn't turned dark yet. This human realm still has justice. Suppressing the disciples of the humble families is destined to be a joke. I only hope that after a few years, everyone will become stronger. Don't forget what I said today, don't become the next bandit of the noble families." Huang Yao said loudly, "The noble families are not all trash, they are all bad people. Some of the bad people have become the vermin among them. The Xia family of the Great Xia Mansion has ruled the Great Xia Mansion for many years, but I have never seen the members of the Xia family arrogant and despotic, bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Governor Wan has ruled the civilized academy for many years. I have never seen the members of the Wan family. They are arrogant and lawless. However, some fake wealthy families bully the weak and fear the strong in order to establish their reputation as wealthy families. They bully the people and rob them by force. These people are not worthy of saying that they are wealthy families. They have tarnished the reputation of the great Xia family and chilled the hearts of the human race. They deserve to be killed. They deserve to be beheaded." These words sounded like a resounding bell. At this moment, waves of willpower spread over. Silence. Deathly silence. Huang Yao stood proudly, his aura surging like a rainbow. At this moment, he felt good. He felt great. At this moment, he truly had no regrets in dying. Boom! An aura burst forth, and his willpower transformed. At this moment, this middle-aged civilized master who had been waiting for death suddenly advanced, and his aura instantly surpassed Lu Hong's. He did not even reach the 9th level of the soaring heaven realm, but in the blink of an eye, he had advanced from the intermediate to the advanced level of the soaring heaven realm. The 7th level of the soaring heaven realm. A smile appeared on Huang Yao's face. He did not look at the students. Instead, he looked into the depths of the Great Xia Academy of Civilization, toward the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, and he smiled magnanimously. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 347, Chapter 101, Storm 4. Chapter 347, Chapter 101, Storm 4. In the crowd, some of the humble scions felt their blood boil at this moment. The primary and intermediate classes were the majority. In these two classes, there were many students born from ordinary families. Teacher Huang said it well. Teacher Huang is mighty. A group of people cheered. They wanted to vent, they wanted to shout wildly, this was how it should be. What's wrong with the humble scions? We went from the lowest level and put in several times more effort than the scions of the wealthy families to enter the Great Xia Civilization Academy. In the end, what we received was ridicule, disdain, and rejection. Civilization Academy is not the back garden of your wealthy families. A monthly test caused an intense storm. The struggle between the wealthy families of the humble families. In the crowd, Su Yu's heart surged, but he quickly calmed down. He felt a little helpless. Chief Huang, you can talk, but don't talk about me. I wanted to keep a low profile. But now, it felt like I've become a target. As if he knew what Su Yu was thinking, Huang Yao, who had been looking in the direction of the Heart Cultivation Pavilion, suddenly sent a voice transmission over, what are you afraid of? Bring honor to the humble class. There are people who will support you. Your branch of the divine literature is already on the verge of death. You've offended many people. It's not a big deal to have a few more. You can even get a lot of support, even from some of the experts of the mountain and sea realm. If you're unwilling, then keep a low profile. Forget what I said before. If you suppress the descendants of the rich and powerful, the humble class will rise up. Very soon, a large amount of resources will be provided to you all. In the academy, outside of the academy, you will no longer be fighting alone. If someone wants to steal Chen Yong's position, they will have to see who is stronger. It's not against all the rich and powerful families. We just hope to give the descendants of the humble class a chance. The academy has invested too little in the descendants of the humble class. The amount is so little that it makes one's heart turn cold. We have been fighting our way up and forward. In the end, we have been disappointed by our own people. Who would be willing to fight for the human race again? Huang Yao's voice was agitated. If it really doesn't work out, we're planning to build the humble class academy. We'll only accept the humble class disciples. We'll fly in the air and fight on the battlefield once. The things we get will only be used by our own people. You, Su Yu, can switch to the humble class academy. I guarantee that you'll definitely be the backbone of the academy, and the academy will support you with all its strength. We don't hope that the things we get on the battlefield will end up being given to those bastards. We will even be mocked by them. Disciples from humble families can't do it. They are going too far. Su Yu was a little shocked. They were planning to build humble family academy and even an academy. This, he was too shocked. Once this news was released, the Great Xia Mansion and even the human realm would definitely be shocked. This was no longer a matter of an academy, but a great revolution that involved the entire human race. The experts of the humble class could no longer tolerate everything. If this matter was not handled carefully, there might be major changes within the human race. Su Yu felt his mouth dry. There was some joy, some excitement, and some uneasiness. The joy was that the people born into ordinary families had a chance, an even greater chance. The joy was that once the humble class academy succeeded, there would be even more experts among the disciples of the humble class in the future. The uneasy thing was that if this happened, it might cause a confrontation between the wealthy class and the humble class. There might even be internal turmoil, or even a split. Su Yu, there's no need to be burdened. Everything is just the beginning. Perhaps when you're airborne, everything might not be settled. This isn't something that can happen overnight, but we have to make our voices heard. Whether you're willing or not, you're branded with the label of the humble class. Huang Yao's voice rang out once again, your father is a member of the military. Other than a few experts, most of the people in the military are from humble families. This isn't because our academy is dissatisfied, or even the entire military is dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied that they're fighting on the front lines, but behind them, they're not giving their children the same opportunity. So, we need to make a sound and tell everyone that we need more support. Su Yu took a deep breath and did not say a word. In the next moment, Lu Hong seemed to have received some instructions. He smiled and said, "All right, Assistant Teacher Huang, it's time for the monthly exam to begin. There are some words. We'll talk about it in the future. The reform of the education system needs more discussion. The children of wealthy families losing points, that may not necessarily be fair. In order to pursue fairness, we have to put ourselves in their shoes. We'll talk about it slowly in the future. Don't delay the student's exam." Huang Yao regained his calmness and smiled. "All right, let's take the exam then. After the exam, I heard that there will be a big show. I will come and watch it. Don't think that no one can balance you. There is still fairness in this world." Lin Yao was Lu Hong's student. Lu Hong was helpless and felt very innocent. I was not the one who instigated Lin Yao to challenge Su Yu, although he hinted a little, Su Yu was not a good person. He clearly wanted to scam Lin Yao. But now, in the eyes of others, it was Lin Yao's fault. It was Lin Yao who coveted Su Yu's blood essence. Su Yu was innocent, Su Yu was pitiful, Su Yu was pitiful, and Su Yu was being suppressed. Little b*****. Lu Hong glanced at Su Yu and saw that he was nervous and a little uneasy. It was as if he was worried about being suppressed by revenge. He was a little speechless. "Your expression is too much." He wanted to remind Su Yu that it was about time for him to stop acting so aggrieved. Did he really think that I didn't know that you were in grave danger? Did he really think that I didn't know that you took away, Heaven Breaker? Lin Yao was really pitiful. At this moment, Lu Hong reflected on himself. Did I treat this student too badly? Should I treat him a little better? For example, if Lin Yao was defeated this time, should I comfort him with some kind words? It's better to console him. It's not like it's free to do so anyway. Lu Hong made up his mind and looked at the late Lin Yao. Poor disciple, master can only help you so much. Unless your family sends me something good, I'll treat you well. Master is not a good person. It's not like your family doesn't know. Why are you so insistent on coming to my side? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 348, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 1. Chapter 348, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 1. The assessment officially began. Huang Yao acted as if nothing had happened, as if he had never spoken before. He began to preside over the assessment of the students from the beginner class. The three of them were not far away from each other, and each of them brought along a book on civilization. Wang Peiyuan organized the assessment of the advanced class, while Lu Hong organized the assessment of the intermediate class. Lu Hong also seemed to have forgotten what he had just said. He opened his mouth and said, the three books contain different divine inscriptions and different directions. They are all in the same series. The main purpose is to create some illusions and pressure. Today's assessment, I hope that no one will feel that it is unfair. If there is, you can bring it up now. No one made a sound. If no one doubts, then the assessment will officially begin. Candidates enter the arena and wait within the designated area. The students walk to the designated area one after another. The 3 examiners stood in the middle of their respective squares, and a book appeared in their hands. Civilization Will. The divine writings left behind by the fallen Shanghai realm experts could not be passed down forever. They could not form a secret realm, but they could be passed down as Civilization Will. The test begins. Along with Lu Hong's shout, the 3 civilization wills burst out with a faint glow, forming a barrier that enveloped all the students. There was no illusion. There was only pressure. An invisible pressure, like the pressure in a fragment room. When Su Yu was enveloped by the light, he thought that just like last time, there would be demonic beast phantoms. However, there were no phantoms. Only an invisible pressure was corroding him. Go forward. How far you go will represent how strong you are. Lu Hong's voice faintly sounded in his ears. Su Yu had long been accustomed to such pressure. At the beginning, it wasn't as heavy as the pressure in the fragment room. Before recuperating, Su Yu could persist for more than 40 minutes. It could be seen just how much progress he had made during this period of time. Su Yu began to walk forward. His steps were firm and unperturbed. The pressure was not enough. At this moment, he vaguely understood that the monthly test was actually an opportunity to give some students a chance to temper their willpower. This was an environment similar to the fragment room. Some students could not afford to enter such a mystic realm to cultivate. The monthly test that they took every month was actually to help students strengthen their willpower. The longer they persisted, the better the effect. There aren't any demon beasts to kill. It's just a little pressure. It feels worse than the last time. Su Yu ridiculed in his heart. Who would be able to obtain such a little pressure? He stepped forward with ease. At this moment, more than 1,000 new students of the Academy of Divine Arts moved forward one after another. 1 minute, 2 minutes. Gradually, some students of the beginner class couldn't hold on any longer. People started to quit. Some people were directly thrown out of the air. Quitting meant that their grades were bad. Most of them were from the beginner class. There were very few from the intermediate class. Some people quit with depressed expressions on their faces. There wasn't a single person from the advanced class. Under the pressure of civilization, the students couldn't see each other or communicate with each other. However, they couldn't stop some people. The advanced class. A few of the old geniuses who had their trump cards in their hands started to chat again. How far are we suitable to go? We left this behind by that fellow back then, right? What a pity. I don't know which divine text I can leave behind after I die. I still want to leave behind a divine text and turn it into a secret realm that will be passed down to the world forever. The few of them spoke one after another, and very quickly, they talked about Huang Yao. What's the situation with Huang Yao? Some people are fighting back. Give the academy some pressure, give the great Xia Manor some pressure. Don't care so much. If we really fight fiercely, we'll throw them all into the heavenly battlefield. That's right. If they are thrown over there, they will all be obedient. An old man chuckled and said, it doesn't matter if they fight here. When they arrive at the heavenly battlefield, those old things will teach them how to behave. If even he wanted to call them old things, one could see how old they were. Speaking of those people, someone shuddered and said, those old fellows are not human. Back then, when I went for the first time, didn't I just say a few more words? They threw me into the ice purgatory alone. *CK, thousands of demons came to kill me. As he spoke, his voice changed, I was almost swallowed alive by those demons. In the end, that guy who insisted on quarreling with me went to save me. I died if I couldn't be saved. I still remember his second one. You're lucky. Another pavilion elder sighed, that old guy over there is really ruthless. Back then, our faction was on bad terms with the Divine Pill faction, so we threw a Divine Pill faction guy into our team. With one sentence, he died and the whole team was beheaded. In order to protect that guy. F***ck, we almost lost the entire team. The few of them smiled bitterly, and couldn't help but recall the past. In the heavenly battlefield, the internal strife of the human race was very mild. It could even be said that there was no such thing. As for the reason, everyone who had experienced it would know. Who were you at odds with? Fine. You two were at odds, right? You two went on a mission together, and if one of you died, the other one would definitely die. You're a genius. Don't dare to kill you. In your dreams. What kind of genius would an invincible expert care about? Killing you would be like killing a chicken. You two factions don't get along. That's easy to deal with, or do you go on a mission together, which faction has the most deaths, and which faction has the least number of deaths has come back alive, killing a gap? How many fewer deaths do you have compared to others? How many deaths do you have when you come back? Iron-blooded to the extreme. A group of old fellows don't care if others hate you or not, don't care if others scold you or not, over there, you have to be obedient, if you want to fight, hold it in. The heavenly battlefield was a battlefield of 10,000 worlds. It was incomparably dangerous. How could they have time for you to fight among yourselves? The old fellows also didn't have the time to care whether you fought or not. They wouldn't even try to comfort you. If you could endure it, then endure it. If you couldn't endure it, then die. It was that simple. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 349, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 2. Chapter 349, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 2. All the elders present had suffered such losses in the past. If they did not suffer, they would not learn. As they spoke, gradually, more and more people stopped walking. More and more people retreated. It was difficult to walk 10 meters without cultivating one's temperament. In the intermediate class, a large number of students began to be eliminated. In the advanced class, no one stopped. Xia Chan has walked 14 meters. She's pretty fast. Wan Mingze isn't bad either. He looks about the same. I think he's holding back. This kid from the Zheng family is good. I thought he was like his grandfather, a boorish man. I didn't expect him to walk 12 meters. This has little to do with the physical body realm. The few elders continued to speak, as if they were bystanders. As they were chatting, someone suddenly shouted, "The few of you, if you don't move, throw all of you out." The voice came faintly. The few of them cursed secretly. This kid Huang Yao is really bold. Didn't we not know how far we should walk? Forget it, let's not argue with him. The few of them took a step forward one after another. In a short while, the few of them caught up to Jing Yunhui. The next moment, the few of them stopped again and said, "This assessment is not good. We have to let them see the reactions of their companions so that they can walk further and compete with each other. Otherwise, they won't be able to see each other. These guys don't know the situation of others, so there's no pressure." That's right. Why don't the few of us make a move? What if we are discovered? Isn't that simple? If one of you withdraws and reverts to your true form, the pavilion master will personally come and modify the assessment method to increase the motivation of the students. How normal is that? It has been too many years since we participated in the assessment. We have already forgotten about this matter. In fact, we should have reformed it a long time ago. As expected, if we don't experience it personally, we won't be able to remember such trivial matters at all. A pavilion elder sighed. It had been too many years since they last experienced this kind of assessment. They had long forgotten about this matter. When they were young, they had thought about this matter when they participated in the assessment. However, when they became truly powerful, they would forget about it. A moment later, the few of them made a decision. A pavilion elder no longer participated in the assessment. They didn't care about the ranking and quickly withdrew. After a while, more people were eliminated. At this moment, Lu Hong's eyebrows suddenly jumped. In the next moment, a figure appeared in the air. As if it had just passed by, it exclaimed softly, "The monthly assessment. After so many years, why is it still such a backward method?" After saying that, a few golden lights scattered from the air. They fell into the 3 books of wisdom. At this moment, the students who were still in the middle of the examination saw a change in the scenery before their eyes. The scene before their eyes was no longer empty. Instead, there was a figure. They saw their classmates, saw the teacher in the center, and even saw the book of civilization in the center. The pressure was still there. Even the illusion was still there. But beside them, they could see other people. The students were a little stunned. Lu Hong quickly reacted and hurriedly shouted to the sky, "Thank you, Pavilion Elder Zhang, for improving the book of civilization. It's no big deal." The figure of Pavilion Elder flashed in the air and disappeared. A moment later, a person who had just silently disappeared from the side of the students from the advanced class, and now there was another person, but no one noticed anything unusual. Su Yu and the others finally understood that a pavilion elder had just passed by and improved Wen Mingji for them. When everyone saw their situation, it was true that only with comparison would there be motivation and pressure. Su Yu originally thought that he had walked quite far, but at this moment, he realized that he had just walked more than 10 meters. On the side of the intermediate class, there were a few people beside him. On the side of the advanced class, there were at least 40 to 50 people who walked similar to him. Xia Chan, whom he had met the last time, had even walked close to 20 meters. The pressure in Su Yu's heart suddenly increased greatly. Not only him, the other students' expressions also changed at this moment. There were still so many people in the advanced class. Some geniuses were originally very proud, thinking that they would definitely walk the furthest. Perhaps the others had been eliminated, but at this moment, all of them felt a lot of pressure. In the advanced class area, the pavilion elders snickered. "This should have been done long ago. If I didn't give you guys some pressure, would you have any motivation?" Their pressure increased, but Lu Hong started to mutter. The matter of Wen Mingzi had actually been reported long ago, but Wen Mingzi was left behind by a Shanghai realm expert. Normal people couldn't improve it, and the Shanghai realm pavilion elders all appeared and disappeared. There were too many important matters, and even if it was reported, no one came to correct it. Now, a monthly exam actually attracted a pavilion elder. Was it really a coincidence? Or, was it because some of them came? He was still thinking, and gradually, more and more people were eliminated. In the beginner class, the last student was still struggling. At this moment, the other party had already walked 15 meters, which was already considered extremely strong, even surpassing most of the intermediate class students. Lu Hongqiao glanced at the other party and nodded slightly. This new student would be able to enter the intermediate tier class after this. Advancing in a month wasn't too bad. If one really reached 20 meters, it would mean that one had reached the level of recuperation. Or perhaps, it would be like Su Yu. Back then, he hadn't reached the level of recuperation, but with the help of 2 divine inscriptions, he was able to advance a little further. 18 meters, 19 meters. At this moment, Su Yu also quickened his pace. The pressure was getting greater and greater. Not only did it test the strength of one's willpower, it also tested the tenacity of one's willpower. The longer it took, the greater the pressure. On the side of the advanced class, there were already 7 or 8 people who were more than 20 meters tall. The intermediate class students behind Suyu also began to gradually fall behind. Gradually, there was no one around. Suyu turned his head to look at square one. Just at the moment, someone was also looking at him. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 350, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 3. Chapter 350, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions. Lin Yao's face was pale. At this moment, his face was gloomy. He gritted his teeth and kept walking forward. He realized that he wasn't walking as far as Suyu at this moment. This made Lin Yao feel a great sense of crisis. He immediately erupted with boundless motivation and gritted his teeth as he walked forward. Hu Zongqi was the same. These two people probably had the most sense of crisis. Hu Zongqi had always thought that Suyu was a fake superior class. He was definitely stronger than Suyu. However, at this moment, he was also anxious. Among the students of the advanced class, if one were to say that it was easy, it was Xia Huyo who seemed to be quite relaxed. This guy was staggering, taking one step at a time. He felt like he couldn't take it anymore, but he was always safe and sound. He even looked around curiously. With one look, one could tell that this guy still had some energy left. Just as Suyu and the others were gritting their teeth and walking forward, Lu Hong heard a faint exhortation. Lu Hong quickly nodded. This was the voice of the pavilion elder from earlier. The other party actually hadn't left yet and was still secretly paying attention. The next moment, Lu Hong shouted, the current first place of the advanced class, Xia Chan, 25 meters. The first place of the intermediate class, Suyu, 22 meters. The assessment of the beginner class has officially ended. Sun Fei, 16 meters. Everyone, continue with the assessment. Among the top 100 students, the weakest can walk for more than 40 meters. I hope you guys won't be too bad. As soon as these words were said, several students from the advanced class gathered all their strength and walked forward. How embarrassing. Suyu actually walked 22 meters. After about 3 minutes, Lu Hong said again, the current number 1 of the advanced class, Xia Chan, 29 meters. The intermediate class, Suyu, 25 meters. Other than Suyu, the intermediate class assessment has ended. At this moment, only Suyu was left in square 2. And in square 1, there were close to 50 people who had walked over 20 meters. Suyu didn't say anything. At this moment, sweat was gradually dripping down his forehead. The difficulty was quite high. He had walked 27 meters during the assessment. That was the eruption of the divine runes. But today, he didn't use the divine runes. Up until now, he had only relied on willpower. Of the 3 divine runes, the kill divine runes were still somewhat broken. But this kind of assessment could also be used. It was just that they weren't as powerful as the complete divine runes. 29 meters. Suyu looked at Xia Chan, who was walking forward, and his footsteps were firm and filled with admiration. Her willpower was much stronger than his. He did not know whether the other party had used the divine inscription or not. In any case, after Xia Chan walked to 29 meters, she still felt rather relaxed. This woman was indeed the obstacle in his path of cultivation. He could not be inferior to a woman. Another 3 minutes passed. Xia Chan, 33 meters. Suyu, 28 meters. On the other side, Huang Yao suddenly added, Hu Zongqi, 24 meters, the test is over. Wang Jiqiang, 25 meters, the test is over. As soon as these words were said, the faces of Hu Zongqi and the other student who had just been eliminated instantly turned red. They were the 2 people who had been gossiping earlier. After being berated by Wu Lan for a while, if not for the few researchers who had come, they would not have been able to step down from the stage. But now, they had been slapped in the face. Huang Yao had done it on purpose. Weren't you guys doubting him? Continue doubting him. Huang Yao said calmly, a civilized mind shouldn't be bad. If you don't believe me, the two of you can go over there and give it a try. No one said anything. On the intermediate class side, a moment later, there was a wave of boos. Contempt. Ridicule. Although they were not as good as these two geniuses, seeing them being slapped in the face at this time, they suddenly felt extremely refreshed. Let you be arrogant. The two of them were also helpless and felt wronged. In fact, their progress this month was not bad. Back in the higher education examination, they could not have made it this far. Otherwise, they would have been able to make it to the top. However, while they were improving, the others were also improving. Now that they had walked 24 to 25 meters, they were not bad in the advanced class, but they were not too good either. No one noticed that on the advanced class side, Wu Lan, who was on the verge of collapse, instantly became excited when she heard Huang Yao's registration. No way. She did not want to be so embarrassed. She was afraid that Huang Yao would also report her name. She had only walked 25 meters at this time, which was a lot more improvement than before. However, she was on par with Wang Jiqiang. Just a moment ago, he had said that he would beat them until they could not get up. Now, if it was the same, then she would be too ashamed to face anyone. And Su Yu. Su Yu had actually improved again. Wu Lan gritted her teeth and instantly regained her full health. She had unlimited motivation. She could not embarrass herself here, even though in reality, few people were paying attention to her at this moment. Xia Chan, 36 meters. Wan Mingze, 35 meters. Hu Qiusheng, 34 meters, Zhao Shiqi, Jing Yunhui, 33 meters, Su Yu, 32 meters. The announcement rang out once more. This time, it wasn't just Su Yu and Xia Chan. Those who were more than 30 meters tall were all notified by Lu Hong. Lu Hong said calmly, everyone's performance isn't bad. Let's continue. So far, we haven't seen any hope of entering the top 100. There's still a gap. The weakest of the top 100 students could at least walk 40 meters. The weakest. This was only in terms of willpower and divine inscriptions. The other party's physical body was usually stronger than that of the new students, and his battle techniques were stronger as well. All in all, not a single new student was able to make it into the top 100. As for Su Yu, he wasn't too surprised. This brat seemed to have entered a state of recuperation. It was a little faster than expected. At this moment, Wu Lan, who had stopped at 27 meters, had a dejected expression on her face. She had lost again, and not just to Su Yu alone, but to many others. Trash. Perhaps, this should be given to her. In the eyes of these people, she was only trash. She's pretty strong. Su Yu's eyes were bright as the blood word in his mind flickered with light. He had already used the blood word in his mind. Even when he had reached his limit, he had only walked 32 meters. In the end, he discovered that each and every one of the advanced classes was stronger than the last. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 351, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 4. Chapter 351, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions 4. Good, that's good. I was afraid that I wouldn't have the motivation. Looks like there are many geniuses. The next moment, the thunder character lit up. Su Yu took a step forward. His willpower shook, but Su Yu was extremely calm. I don't think I'm inferior to anyone when it comes to talent. At this moment, Huang Yao's voice sounded, Lin Yao, stop at 30 meters. Not bad. Another compliment. It was indeed not bad. However, Lin Yao could not be happy. His face was a little dark. When he was in the higher education entrance examination, he had walked quite a lot. Otherwise, he would not have been able to enter the upper class. Today, he had walked to 30 meters. He had made some progress, but it was not that great. If it was not for Su Yu, he would have been satisfied. But now, he had actually lost to Su Yu. Leaving the range of civilized will, he looked at Su Yu. Seeing the light flickering on his body, Lin Yao frowned. Has he entered a state of recuperation? He could somewhat see it. Not only him, almost all the students in the recuperation stage could see that Su Yu had entered a state of recuperation. And at this time, Su Yu seemed to have exerted his strength again. The thunder word divine text burst forth, and he took another step forward. Very soon, Thunder, little brother, was a little dispirited. Su Yu cursed in his heart. In the next moment, the two divine texts fused. Su Yu had already tried to fuse them several times, but there were no problems. Therefore, even though he knew that the fusion was dangerous, he did not care at this moment. After the two divine inscriptions fused, Su Yu took another few steps forward. Lu Hong, who was maintaining his civilized will, was slightly shaken. He was secretly rejoicing in his heart. Fortunately, he remembered that Huang Yao had been punished last time. He was worried that something would happen to his civilized will again, so he had used quite a bit of willpower, otherwise, he would make a fool of himself today. This kid, why did he suddenly become fierce again? He clearly felt that he couldn't hold on much longer. Xia Chan, 38 meters, Wan Mingze, 37 meters, Su Yu, 36 meters. When Su Yu heard these words, he really couldn't hold on any longer. He began to have ideas about the kill divine text. This divine text had been badly cleaned up yesterday and was somewhat damaged. But at this time, Su Yu didn't care anymore. It was too embarrassing. He wasn't convinced that he couldn't win against a woman. No matter what, he was still a young man. Being pressed down by a woman was a little shameful. The third divine text trembled slightly. In the next moment, Su Yu's body emitted a faint murderous aura. The others didn't feel it, but the pavilion elders and a few people who were in the air glanced at Su Yu one after another. Lu Hong was secretly surprised. Was this a new divine text? Or was it a new characteristic? It seemed quite strong. Su Yu took another step forward. This time, it was also the first time. Lu Hong quickly said, Su Yu, 39 meters. In a split second, he surpassed Xia Chan, and Su Yu could not hold on any longer. In the next moment, he retreated one after another, his forehead covered in sweat. He had reached his limit, he had really reached his limit. Unless he could fuse the three divine inscriptions together, he might have given it a try back in the Southern Yuan dynasty. However, he didn't dare to do so this time. He knew a lot, and sometimes, he would be a bit cowardly. Xia Chan. 40 meters. At this moment, a faint layer of golden light appeared around Xia Chan's body. It was very faint, as if she had also heard the voice. With a low shout, she took a few heavy steps forward. Then, she staggered slightly, but she still took a few more steps forward. 41 meters. Wan Mingze. 40 meters. In the blink of an eye, the few evildoers all went all out. Wan Mingze's hair danced in the wind as he rushed forward rapidly. When he reached 40 meters, his body began to twitch. At this time of the assessment, everyone knew that it was almost over. Other than Xia Chan and Wan Mingze who had crossed the 40-meter limit, no one else had reached it. At this time, Su Yu no longer tried to hold on. He retreated from the civilized will and stopped at 39 meters. There was no disappointment in his eyes. It was normal that his willpower was not as strong as theirs. These guys were indeed very strong. They might even be close to the peak of recuperation. The divine runes they drew might not be less than his. In the advanced class area, Xia Chan and Wan Mingze both heaved a sigh of relief. Su Yu's name kept echoing in their ears. They were also a little nervous. If they really lost to Su Yu, it would be too embarrassing. No matter what, they were still monsters who entered the residence. At this moment, the two of them could not hold on any longer. Just as they were about to leave, Wan Mingze's vision blurred. Suddenly, a figure appeared beside him. It was a chubby young man. At this moment, as he was eating, he turned his head and chuckled. Continue. I waited behind you for a while. Why aren't you leaving? Wan Mingze widened his eyes. Impossible. How could this guy surpass him? His opponent was only Xia Chan. On the other side, Lu Hong was also shocked and quickly said, Jia Mingzhen, 41 meters. The chubby man smiled and approached Xia Chan. He wiped his greasy fat hands at the corner of Xia Chan's clothes and said with a smile, I thought the Xia family was very strong, but in the end. Boring. The little fatty ignored Xia Chan's murderous gaze and wiped his hands clean on her clothes. He continued to walk for a meter or two, his face slightly flushed. After a few more steps, he panted and began to retreat. Jia Mingzhen. 45 meters. Lu Hong was also shocked. Where did these few hidden geniuses come from? Could it be that these few were already close to the peak of recuperation, or even the peak of recuperation? Other than Jia Mingzhen, there were 4 others. Among them, 3 of them did pretty well. Most of them were over 30 meters tall, and the only one who did badly was about 25 meters tall. There were a total of 5 people. All of them were very powerful. No wonder the elders came out to take in disciples. These guys aren't any worse than those monsters. There's also Su Yu. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 352, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions and Monthly 5. Chapter 352, Chapter 102, A Myriad of Emotions and Monthly 5. Lu Hong was secretly shocked. There were so many evildoers this year. Including Su Yu and these 5 people, there were a total of 14. No, there was still more. His gaze fell on Xia Huyo, who was staggering away. The son of the manor head, did he really not have any ability? Why did it feel like he was dealing with an errand? With this calculation, there might be 15 evildoers this year. What was evildoers? There was a chance for them to advance to the sky within 3 years. Could it be that there would be more than 10 evildoers in this year's 3 years? Lu Hong was shocked, but in the next moment, he suppressed the doubt in his heart and said, Advanced class, Jia Mingzhen is the first in the civilization ambition assessment. Xia Chan is second, Wan Mingze is third. In the intermediate class, Su Yu is first. In the beginner class, Sun Fei is first. After reporting some names, Lu Hong announced the top 10 names of the 3 classes in the next moment. In the advanced class, the first place was not Xia Chan or Jia Mingzhen, but Hu Qiusheng. He actually had the highest score in the culture class. And this time, it was an improvement. After deducting the previous assessment score, Hu Qiusheng's score was actually not low. He actually got first place in the total score. As for Jia Mingzhen, he was eating and sleeping during the culture class. Su Yu had 130 points in the cultural class. This time, he walked to 39 meters and got 120 points, a total of 250 points. He was ranked first. The second place was Wang Yun, who was ranked first in the cultural class. He had a total of 190 points. The other party had gotten 40 points in this round. He had walked 4 meters more than when he entered the school. This was already a huge improvement. Just as he announced the results, Su Yu glanced at Lin Yao and his heart suddenly trembled. He wasn't going to run, right? Why did he feel that Lin Yao was a little fearful and hesitant? Su Yu had walked so far, and Lin Yao wasn't stupid. At this moment, he suddenly felt that he might have fallen into a trap. He really was considering whether he should continue. Just as he was still considering, Su Yu suddenly said, "Teacher, the top 3 have the right to challenge the advanced class students. The advanced class Lin Yao came to me earlier to challenge me. He spoke rudely and insulted me. Today, I have entered a state of recuperation. I am willing to fight Lin Yao fairly." Lu Hong said plainly, "Lin Yao is not in the top 10. It depends on his willingness." Su Yu said directly, "If Lin Yao is not willing, that's fine too. He just needs to apologize to me in front of everyone. I, Su Yu, am not a person who cannot be reasoned with and forgive others. However, he bullied me previously and spoke rudely. Today, as long as he apologizes, I will not challenge him again." Su Yu spoke loudly and frankly. Behind him, a group of students heard that Su Yu had a good temperament. They were not surprised. This fellow had walked so far before. He must have entered a good temperament. At this moment, while they were happy for Su Yu, they also shouted, "Apologize." On the other side, Lin Yao's expression changed uncertainly. He felt that he might have been fooled. At this moment, he said in a low voice, "Su Yu, who bullied you? That day, you were the one who challenged me to a battle." Shoo! There was a wave of boos. At this moment, even Xia Chan, who was previously angered by Jia Ming, could not be bothered to be angry at Jia Ming anymore. She scolded angrily, "Trash, you're a disgrace. Since you dare to do it, you naturally deserve it. Su Yu is a student of the intermediate class. If he challenges you, you have to accept it. What's there to justify such a trash?" She was still angry. When she heard Lin Yao's words, she suddenly felt extremely embarrassed. The reputation of the advanced class had been lost. Not only her, Wan Mingze also frowned. He said coldly, "Since we have an agreement, then let's fight." Such prevarication and cowardice. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Looking at his willpower and character, he doesn't dare to accept the challenge. "Lin Yao, you are also worthy to be our classmate. It's best if you drop out of school by yourself." The two of them did not give Lin Yao any face, nor did they give Lu Hong any face. They were not afraid of Lu Hong at all. They were not even afraid of Zhou Mingren. It was too embarrassing. On the side of the advanced class, there was a commotion as well. Each of them looked at Lin Yao with furrowed brows and disdain. He was really trash, and he was even superior. How could such a person be worthy? Seeing that Su Yu had regained his composure, he actually did not dare to accept the challenge. He even had to deny what he had said. Wasn't he ashamed? Lin Yao was holding his anger in his heart. He really felt that he had been tricked. However, at this moment, he was placed on the bonfire. He gritted his teeth and looked at Su Yu. Fine, if he really lost, at most, he would lose 300 merit points. Su Yu, this bastard, was not honest. Alright, I originally saw that you had just entered recuperation and you insisted on challenging me. Tomorrow, I will go up to the arena with you to determine the winner. Su Yu's eyes flickered. Tomorrow. He was prepared to beat him up right now. It seemed that this guy had guessed something and insisted on delaying until tomorrow. Could it be that he was preparing a trump card? However, Su Yu was fearless and did not care. He said, "Alright, then I'll see you in the arena tomorrow." Lin Yao did not say anything else and turned around to leave. Bastard, Su Yu might have already developed his temperament and deliberately set him up. The assessment is over. For the other students who want to challenge, you can look for the instructor to propose. Lu Hong did not say anything more and picked up Wan Mingji and left quickly. There were quite a few changes in today's monthly assessment. The key was not Su Yu, but Huang Yao. It was Jia Mingjun and the others who felt that there was a conspiracy going on. Also, a pavilion elder was passing by. This was also very strange. Lu Hong's mind was full of conspiracies and tricks, but he did not have any leads for a moment. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 353, One Hit Kill. 1. Chapter 353, Chapter 103, One Hit Kill. 1. After the monthly exam, Suyu was not in a hurry to go back. He went to the Merit Institute to collect this month's reward. Merit Institute. The young lady at the window was a little curious and could not help but look at Suyu a few more times. Intermediate class monitor, 3 merit points, upper class subsidy, 3 points, the first place in the monthly exam is not out yet. It has already been recorded, so fast. The young lady who distributed the achievement points was a little strange. It was really fast. It was just the end of the exam, and it was already recorded. Under normal circumstances, the fact that it was recorded and distributed so quickly only meant that this genius in front of him was a little poor. So poor that he had to be replenished immediately. A total of 16 achievement points. Student Suyu, do you think there's a problem? 16 points, yes. Suyu nodded. It was true that he was wrong, but he felt that it was a little too little. But it was still not bad. At this moment, his merit points had already reached 146 points. 100 points were from selling information. There would still be a lot of merit points in his account tomorrow. Counting it up, after entering the academy for a month, he would probably earn more than if he were to fly. Suyu did not have anything to exchange for. However, after thinking for a while, he still asked, "Do you have the mountain-breaking ox essence blood? Thousand June realm?" The staff shook her head and said, "I really don't have it. The supply exceeds the demand." "No, the early stage 10,000 stone realm is also fine." When she said this, the staff was a little surprised. 10,000 stone realm. The mountain-breaking ox blood essence was especially suitable for the foundation establishment of the Thousand June realm, but it was really not useful for the 10,000 stone realm. It was better to use the ordinary 10,000 stone realm blood essence. Of course, she did not say anything. Very quickly, she said, "There is, but the quantity is not much. After all, it is one of the top 100 races, and 10,000 stone realm blood essence is not very common. Of course, there are not many people who want to exchange for it unless they need it for research purposes. However, the price is not cheap. The 10,000 stone early stage blood essence also costs 15 merit points a drop." Suyu secretly cursed. How black-hearted. The 10,000 stone realm mountain-breaking ox blood essence was not used by many people. Just this alone would require 15 merit points for one drop. The academy did not care whether they wanted to exchange it or not. Resources were in short supply, so they would not advise anyone to exchange it, unless it was some useless resources. Want to exchange it? Suyu pondered for a moment and decided that he still had time to ask Xia Huyo to see if he had the goods. His side was much cheaper. Half an hour later, Suyu returned to the research center. Bai Feng was already waiting for him. When he saw Suyu return, he sized him up. After a long while, he said, "Have you cultivated your nature?" "Yes, I cultivated my nature in the afternoon. I broke through after a nap." Suyu scratched his head and said somewhat gloomily, "I'm curious too. I suddenly cultivated my nature just like that." "Master, you previously said that there's a small threshold to cultivating one's nature." Bai Feng said indifferently, "It might be related to the Yuan Qi mystic realm. I've absorbed too much Yuan Qi. My sea of consciousness has been cultivated quite well." He skipped this topic. He did not want to hear it. Nurture one's nature. Who cares? Since you have nurtured your nature, your task will be more important next month. Settle it quickly tomorrow. Resolve your own problems and go out with me. All right. Suyu nodded and hurriedly asked, Teacher, can I use my literary soldiers now? Yes. When you don't use them normally, just throw them into the blood essence pool. Don't be in a hurry to forge anything in the early stages. Your divine runes haven't been determined yet, and the path you're taking hasn't been set yet. The literary soldiers can only be molded after some time. Suyu immediately asked, how do you refine them? Merge the divine runes into your sea of will and leave behind your own will aura. It's very simple. Bai Feng didn't say anything else and continued, I heard that there are a few abnormal fellows in the advanced class. Do you know? Abnormal? Suyu blinked and nodded. It's quite abnormal. That Jia Mingjun, Xia Chan, Wan Mingze, and Hu Qiusheng are all abnormal. Master, they actually walked further than me. Bai Feng was a little speechless and a little tired. Walking further than you, is this abnormal? He couldn't be bothered to argue with this fellow. Bai Feng said solemnly, pay attention to yourself, especially that Jia Mingjun and the other fellows. They don't have any background. Who knows where they came from? They were suddenly taken in by a few pavilion elders. I'm not sure what's going on. Jia Mingjun, fake name. Real name? Bai Feng frowned again. When I heard this name, I felt that something wasn't right. Be careful. It's hard to investigate if you're related to the pavilion elders. In any case, it's not normal. Suyu immediately said, someone from Manor Head Zhou? I don't think so. It might have something to do with Manor Head Wan. Bai Feng explained, the few pavilion elders who took them in can be considered as the direct descendants of Manor Head Wan. I don't know what Myriad Sage is up to. Anyway, you should be more careful. After saying this, a small jade ball appeared in his hand. This is for you. It's a gift from your martial uncle. You can sense it with your willpower and then absorb it into your sea of will. What is this? Martial uncle. Suyu hadn't even met that martial uncle before, yet he had already received a gift. Oblivion Beast Skull. Bai Feng calmly said, it's considered a good item. It's only worth a few thousand merit points. After you absorb it into your sea of will, if you feel that the divine text is a burden to your sea of will, you can absorb it into your sea of will to nourish it. It can also be used during normal times to help nourish the divine text. In addition, it can stabilize your sea of will. Suyu could no longer hear anything else. A few thousand merit points. A few thousand merit points. Suyu swallowed his saliva and muttered, Martial Uncle is really good. Master, why don't we find some time to visit Martial Uncle? I've cultivated my nature. He might give us a gift to nurture our nature. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 354, One Hit Kill, 2. Chapter 354, Chapter 103, One Hit Kill, 2. Bai Feng's heart was tired. He was blinded by money. Your uncle master is poorer than me now, but that's not right. He still has a sum of merit points that he's prepared to make up for his deficit. But those merit points cannot be easily used. Cut the crap. Bai Feng threw the skull to him in a bad mood and said seriously, don't let others know. Many people want this thing. It's much more valuable than that mountain ox's blood essence. Keep it for yourself. Got it. Suyu hurriedly nodded. He had struck it rich. He realized that there were still many benefits to joining the multi-god literature department. Moreover, he also realized that he might be a super rich man now. Text of the Will of, Heaven Breaker, Skull of the Destroyer Beast, Top-tier Yellow Rank Scribe, Text of the Will of, Thunderblade, 146 merit points. If he added in the Mountain Ox blood essence that he had used previously, It was still fine if Su Yu didn't count. If he counted, damn it, his income this month probably exceeded 5,000 merit points. Terrifying. 5,000 merit points. The black market price was 51,000 points, so that was 250 million. Su Yu's mouth was wide open. In reality, it might be more than 5,000 points. There was also the Earth Tier Top Tier, War God Technique, Cultivation Method, as well as the 1,300 merit points that he was about to obtain. The more Su Yu thought about it, the more stunned he became. As expected, the Great Xia Mansion was full of rich people. Bai Feng did not care what he was thinking about. At this moment, he had a headache. This guy's breakthrough was too fast. I thought I could rest for a few days, but it looks like I won't be able to rest. Bai Feng looked at Su Yu, who was still laughing foolishly. This fellow. Just as he was thinking, Su Yu suddenly said, "Oh right, teacher, I sketched a divine text last night." Bai Feng was stunned. Divine text? That's right. Su Yu said, "I looked at the text of Will last night." Once he said that, Bai Feng knew what he was looking at. Without giving him the chance to continue, Bai Feng asked in a deep voice, "What divine text?" "The word, kill." "The word, kill." Bai Feng frowned again and looked at Su Yu. He said in a deep voice, "Last time, I gave you a fragment. It was a fragment of, arm slash. Do you still remember it?" "Yes, I finished reading it, and then it became useless." "Let me ask you, when you read, arm slash, did you outline the divine text?" "No." "Did you read, origin opening incantation, thunder origin blade, and, all of them outline divine runes?" Bai Feng's frown deepened. "They're all human characters, right?" "Yes." Bai Feng's frown was so deep that it almost formed a line. "Divine runes, human divine runes. Look at the human race, they can do it on the first try. Look at the 10,000 races, I've looked at them many times, but I didn't outline any of them." Bai Feng's pupils constricted. "You can't be rejecting the 10,000 races divine runes, right?" Su Yu blinked. He didn't know. Could it be that you're born with an understanding of the human race's divine runes, but you can't comprehend the 10,000 races divine runes? Bai Feng was a little nervous this time. If that's the case, then it'll be troublesome. Troublesome? Kid, you have to know that the human race's divine runes are actually not that powerful. Or rather, compared to the 10,000 races divine runes, the human race's divine runes are a little simple and a little not powerful enough. Bai Feng frowned and said, "That might not be the case. Perhaps you have a natural understanding of the human race's divine text, but your understanding of the 10,000 races is similar to others. You might need to observe it many times before you can do so. If that's the case, then it can also explain why you can sketch the divine text so quickly." 10,000 races divine text. Bai Feng had a headache. If Su Yu's understanding of the 10,000 races divine text was not strong, then what should he do? Most of the divine texts of civilized masters were the 10,000 race divine texts. Some of the cultivation techniques, martial techniques, and paths that they created might all be related to the 10,000 race divine texts. Su Yu said uneasily, "Teacher, are human divine texts not strong enough?" "Not strong enough, it's not that they're not strong enough." Bai Feng said seriously, "At the very least, compared to the divine texts of some celestials and demons, the divine texts of the human race are much weaker. Let me put it this way, none of the eternal divine runes passed down today are human divine runes. They are all from other powerful races. Don't worry, I'll see what happens next." Bai Feng comforted him, "Don't worry. I'm not in a hurry." Su Yu didn't care too much. After all, he felt that his human divine runes were quite strong. Bai Feng rolled his eyes. "Nonsense, I'm in a hurry if you're not in a hurry. The more divine prose there was, the more he studied the myriad races' divine prose, not the human divine prose. Once Su Yu's comprehension of the myriad races' divine prose wasn't strong, it would be troublesome. He might not be able to fly smoothly. Let's take another look. Bai Feng had a slight headache. He quickly said, the divine prose you just outlined is also a complete outline. No, it's a little incomplete. It's very strong. It's more troublesome for me to subdue it. Subdue it? Bai Feng didn't know what to say. Shouldn't you slowly outline it? Once it reached your mouth, it would be subjugated. Then continue to outline it. As Bai Feng spoke, he felt a headache coming on. Don't outline any more human divine texts for the time being. Even if there's a chance, you have to give up. You've outlined too many divine texts. It might not be a good thing, especially human divine texts. Su Yu was a little unhappy. It was not directed at Bai Feng, but he was a little unhappy that Bai Feng kept saying that human divine runes were not strong. Bai Feng knew what he was thinking and said in a low voice, when my teacher told me this back then, I was also unhappy. But this is the truth, and we cannot change it. The fact that none of the eternal divine runes are human divine runes is proof. Also, Bai Feng paused for a moment and continued, under normal circumstances, civilized masters will focus on one divine text and not the human ones. Otherwise, there will be no hope in the mountains and seas. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 355, One-Hit Kill. 3. Chapter 355, Chapter 103, One-Hit Kill. Bai Feng said solemnly, because the divine language of the human race cannot become the eternal divine language, and the eternal divine language is only found in the mountains and seas. The two are bound to each other. If you major in the divine language of the human race, in this lifetime, you will have the mountains and seas at most. Although the mountains and seas are already very strong, and many people nowadays almost won't pursue the mountains and seas anymore, they are ordinary people. We are not the same. Su Yu, our goal is to be above the mountains and seas. Teacher. Listen to me. Bai Feng said in a deep voice, there's no rush now. When we reach the sky, we will focus on cultivating one divine script, so you still have time. However, you have to be prepared. The few human divine scripts that you outline can only be used as a subsidiary, not a main cultivation. Su Yu wanted to say something, but he hesitated. In the end, he did not say anything else. He was just a newbie on the path of cultivation. Compared to cultivation, he was naturally inferior to a sky-soaring expert like Bai Feng. In his heart, he was somewhat unwilling. But no matter how unwilling he was, Su Yu also understood that everything Bai Feng said was for his own good. I understand. Su Yu replied gloomily. Bai Feng also didn't say any more. The joy, excitement, and helplessness from before had all turned into heaviness at this moment. Su Yu really didn't have a strong comprehension of the myriad divine languages. Then could he still become a powerful unrivaled expert of the same level? Could he still make the myriad divine languages continue to be brilliant? He did not know. At this moment, Bai Feng was somewhat disappointed and depressed. If Su Yu could only comprehend the myriad divine languages normally, then he might not even be able to soar into the sky. It would be very difficult for him to inherit the mantle of the myriad divine languages. The third underground level. Bai Feng suddenly did not have the mood to study. He was somewhat tired and somewhat unwilling. After a long time, he gritted his teeth and said, even if he can only comprehend the divine language of the human race, he can still become an expert. Even if he can't reach the peak of the mountain and sea, that's enough. How many people can enter the mountain and sea? I shouldn't have too high of an expectation for him, the mountain and sea, as long as he can enter the mountain and see, he can pass on the legacy. Bai Feng took a deep breath and murmured, I can't even do it myself, so why force others? Teacher is stuck in the mountain and sea, so why talk about the mountain and sea? I was too extravagant before. Even if he can only comprehend the divine language of the human race, he can still become powerful. As long as the divine language is sketched out enough to form a complete set of divine language battle techniques, he can still become powerful and stand proudly in the same generation. Even though he said that, the faint sense of disappointment in his heart still stung him. He didn't know if it was true. Tomorrow, he might find out. He had been filled with hope when he brought Su Yu to the library tomorrow, but at this moment, he felt an indescribable sadness. That night, Su Yu had been repairing the kill word divine text. He was also somewhat disappointed and unwilling. Were human divine texts very weak? Why did he feel that they were very strong? His blood and thunder underlings were both very strong. The kill word divine text was even more powerful, defeating two divine texts by itself. Human divine inscriptions, are they really not strong? Eternal divine inscriptions. Only by outlining the divine inscriptions of other races can there be hope for them to become eternal divine inscriptions. Above the mountains and seas. That night, Su Yu did not sleep. That night, Bai Feng did not sleep either. He once again began to study his own project. He wanted to forget some unpleasant things. In the morning, Su Yu's willpower moved. A small knife shot out from the blood essence pool. In the next moment, it slowly disappeared in front of Su Yu. A small black knife appeared in his sea of consciousness. With 5 drops of Yuan Qi liquid and 8 drops of 10,000 Stone Realm Ironwing Bird's blood essence, Su Yu left the house. 3 divine runes circled around the small black knife. The small black knife and divine runes all entered the Annihilation Beast's skull. The skull was like a cover, covering these things. In the sea of consciousness, a golden atlas floated in the distance. Nothing dared to approach it. The Academy's arena was located near the Heart Cultivation Pavilion. Early in the morning, the arena was already packed. This batch of new students is very irritable. They've only been in the Academy for a month, and there are already people who want to challenge them. I heard that the 2 little fellows are just recuperating. Is that so? There's nothing interesting about that. You can't say that. The old man is tired of watching them. He's even tired of watching the challenges of the top 100. It's not bad to watch the new students. At this moment, there were people everywhere near the arena. Just as these people were discussing, someone walked around. When he saw a person, he whispered, "Classmate, do you want to bet?" Su Yu wins, 1:1, 3. Lin Yao wins, 1:1. 2. The odds have changed. Someone had inquired before and asked curiously, didn't Su Yu lose 1:1, 5 before? He has entered a state of recuperation. Of course, he has to adjust. Xia Huyo quickly said, "Classmate, do you want to bet?" I'm Xia Huyo, a member of the Xia family. My reputation is guaranteed. Do you see that? That Xia Chan over there, this year's monstrous genius, that's my sister. Your sister? I know Xia Chan, isn't she Lord Xia Ho's granddaughter? Yes, she's not his biological sister, but she's even closer than his biological sister. Xia Huyo chuckled and said, if you place a bet with me, I won't be able to escape. Really, my reputation is guaranteed. Even a few researchers placed their bets with me just now. Researchers? Really? Someone around whispered, aren't you afraid of being swept by others? What will you do then? Xia Huyo said with a smile, don't worry, I've already arranged everything. Unless the pavilion elder gives the order, otherwise, even if an intermediate researcher appears, he can't do anything to me. The Xia family still has this bit of ability. Now, there are already intermediate researchers betting on it. You're tuning into the Han Lee's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 356, One Hit Kill. 4. Chapter 356, Chapter 103, One Hit Kill. 4, really? Of course. Xia Huyo hurriedly said, if you don't believe me, you can ask their students. He said a few names, and the others immediately began to believe him. This little fatty was quite amazing. As for Elder Gu coming forward, forget it, it was just a small matter. It was just a game. How could Elder Ge care about such things? There were also people who opened the game for the top 100 challenge, but Elder Ge did not appear to sweep the game. Xia Huyo was still promoting the game when his eyes suddenly lit up. He hurriedly said, I have something to do. I'll come back later. Wait for me. In the next moment, he squeezed out of the crowd. A moment later, Xia Huyo squeezed to Su Yu's side and panted, Su Yu, you're finally here. How is it? Are you confident? Don't screw me over. If you lose, then I'm finished. Su Yu was unhappy. He frowned and looked at him. Did you use my challenge to make an issue out of it? No. You lied to me. Don't even think about taking business from me in the future. Xia Huyo was embarrassed. He coughed dryly and said, I opened a small bet. I bet on you guys winning or losing. Su Yu glared at him. After a long while, he said, I won. 40 to 60%. I'll bet 60% and you bet 40%. Xia Huyo cursed in his heart. You bastard, you really dare to open your mouth. You didn't pay a single cent, yet you opened your mouth and said 40 to 60%. You must be crazy. Su Yu couldn't be bothered with him and said indifferently, if you don't split it, then I'll admit defeat. Stop fooling around. If you admit defeat, where would you get the broken mountain ox blood essence to compensate? Xia Huyo laughed dryly and said, Su Yu, stop fooling around. Otherwise, I'll go bankrupt. Su Yu rolled his eyes at him and said hesitantly, my performance yesterday wasn't bad, right? The number of people betting on me right now isn't even as many as Lin Yao's. Logically speaking, it shouldn't be. Yesterday, he was first in the intermediate class and had entered the recuperation state. There was no reason for him to have such a big deviation. Xia Huyo grimaced and said, what do the others know? First in the intermediate class. They only know that they just entered the recuperation state. Who else would specifically ask about it? Even if they did, they might not care even if they knew that you just entered the recuperation state. Lin Yao is different. He has been in the recuperation state for some time and is about to enter the Qianjun state. Also, he has a literary soldier. Speaking up to this point, Xia Huyo said worriedly, do you have one? If you don't have a literary soldier, you will be at a disadvantage. He saw that Su Yu was holding a knife in his hand. It was a standard knife of the yellow intermediate class. This would not do. You don't have a literary soldier. Lin Yao is rich and has a literary soldier. He also has martial arts techniques. Even. Su Yu, be careful. He might have gone to buy a divine talisman. Huh? Su Yu was shocked. Divine talisman? That's right. What do you think? That kid didn't want to compete yesterday and insisted on dragging it out until today. He might have gone to buy a divine talisman that suits him. Then you'll be in trouble. Divine talisman, is it very strong? Su Yu thought of that day, when the various students were demonstrating the divine talisman that the old man performed. 10,000 swords were unleashed at the same time. It was indeed very strong. Su Yu frowned and said, if the divine talismans are very powerful, then why are we still competing? If we get a powerful divine talisman, we might as well stop fighting and just admit defeat. That's not necessarily true. Everything depends on the user, Xia Huyo explained. Divine talismans are also divided into levels. At the nurturing stage, we can only use divine talismans of the 1000 June and 10,000 stone level. He shouldn't be able to use divine talismans of the 10,000 stone level. That thing consumes a lot of willpower. If he uses one, Lin Yao won't be able to continue fighting. After saying that, he continued, moreover, divine talismans are also very expensive. An early stage 1000 mass destruction divine talisman is worth more than 10 merit points. If it's doubled in the middle stage, it'll be worth around 50 merit points at the later stage of the 1000 mass destruction realm. Xia Huyo smiled and said, even if this guy is rich, he wouldn't spend it like this. Jinx! Su Yu cursed and said in a deep voice, that guy Lin Yao might be afraid. He might really buy a powerful divine talisman. How many of them are there in the 1000 stone realm? 100 or so. I'm talking about the early stage. Xia Huyo said hurriedly, if it's really a 10,000 stone realm destructive divine talisman, you should just surrender. Otherwise, something might happen. Su Yu ignored him. 10,000 stone realm divine talisman, exploding with 10,000 stone realm destructive power, it's not like I don't know how. Speaking of which, his blood essence devouring explosion was somewhat similar to a divine talisman. Of course, his price was much cheaper. 3 merit points to buy a drop of blood essence, but a divine talisman was so expensive, who would buy it? Are there no restrictions on divine talismans in the arena? No, Xia Huyo explained, after all, there are people who specialize in divine talismans. You can't restrict them from using it, right? Don't worry, it has to do with willpower. If willpower isn't strong, he won't be able to use it. Even if he can use it, it will take time to throw it out. You directly avoided it. Sometimes, those who use it too much are actually a burden. Otherwise, the top 100 rankings would have been filled with people with the divine talisman system. But now, there are only 4 or 5 people with the divine talisman system on the top 100 rankings. Su Yu felt relieved. It made sense. If the divine talisman system was really that useful and powerful, would there be anyone else on the top 100 rankings who could survive? If he just casually got a divine talisman at the Sky Realm, wouldn't he be able to easily make it into the top 10? Su Yu glanced around but didn't see Lin Yao. Instead, he saw Qin Chi not far away. He felt a little strange and said in a low voice, have you told Lin Yao about it? About Qin Chi? Yes. I did. Xia Huyo whispered, I told him. This guy is not really stupid. He must be on guard and won't fall into the trap. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 357, One Hit Kill, 5. Chapter 357, Chapter 103, One Hit Kill, 5. As he was speaking, a group of people suddenly swarmed over from afar. Lin Yao was among them. From afar, Lin Yao shouted, Su Yu, you despicable person, you actually let someone plot against me last night. At this moment, Lin Yao's face was covered in dust. There were even some blood stains on his body. Shameless person, you actually let someone put chaotic martial arts powder in the tea I drank last night. In order to win against me, you're really unscrupulous. Boom. The scene instantly turned chaotic. Immediately, someone cursed, impossible, Lin Yao. If you're afraid of losing, then don't fight. You're slandering our class monitor. Lin Yao snorted coldly, I'm afraid of losing. Why would I be afraid of Su Yu? I already advanced to Qianjun yesterday. Su Yu, this shameless person, colluded with Xia Huyo and gave me chaotic martial arts powder. He wants to beat me in the opening game. Shameless person. Su Yu frowned, and Xia Huyo's expression also changed slightly. F***ck. This guy was really not stupid. He actually backstabbed him. Lin Yao shouted, I, Lin Yao, will never deceive anyone. If you don't believe me, you can go and investigate. I will report to the guards and have them investigate. Last night, I, Lin Yao, was set up by someone. I was really set up by someone and used the chaotic technique powder. It almost caused my sea of consciousness to shake. In the distance, Chen Qi's heart trembled. In the next moment, he instantly calmed down. It wasn't me, it was Su Yu. Yes, it was Su Yu. Moreover, the chaotic technique powder wasn't considered poison. Even if he drank it, his sea of consciousness would shake for a day or two. Even if he was really found out, it wouldn't be a big deal. As for Su Yu and Xia Huyo, they instantly understood. This bastard knew that it was Chen Qi who did it, but not only did he not expose it, he even threw the blame on them. Even if he was really found out, he, Lin Yao, was indeed the victim. How would he know who had drugged him? It was only natural that he suspected Su Yu. After all, the two of them had a competition today. Xia Huyo gritted his teeth. He had actually been tricked by Lin Yao. F***ck, he had underestimated the world. Su Yu looked at him. After a long while, he slowly said, Lin Yao, do you mean, you don't want to compete anymore? I drugged you because I was afraid of losing. That's right. Lin Yao said coldly, you shameless person. You pretend to be innocent, but in fact, you're extremely despicable. Fortunately, although I drank a little, I reacted quickly and didn't drink too much. In fact, even now, I still have the confidence to win against you. But I don't want to fight with a shameless person like you. You're not worthy. Lin Yao's aura surged. He had really entered the Qianjun realm. Not only that, his willpower was also quite strong. However, everyone could sense that his willpower was slightly unstable and was not too stable. This was the result of drinking the chaotic martial arts powder. At this moment, many people looked at Su Yu. Even some of the intermediate class students also looked at Su Yu with some disbelief. However, did Lin Yao need to lie so big to avoid the martial arts competition and harm himself? You think that I'm afraid of losing, so I want to frame you. Su Yu smiled, so, the so-called top-tier geniuses in the civilized university, are like this? I've learned a lot. I've come from a small place, so I really haven't seen much. This is the first time I know that. People can be so shameless to this extent. Lin Yao snorted. No matter how much you pretend, you can't hide the fact that you want to harm me. Su Yu exhaled lightly and said with a smile, then, if I can prove that I didn't frame you, will your bet with me still be counted? Prove? How can you prove it? I just want to ask, will it still be counted? Yes. Lin Yao sneered and said, prove it to me. Su Yu smiled, he said slowly, isn't it easy to prove this? In my eyes. You're just a dog that only knows how to bark. Other than being a little louder, there's nothing else. When I deal with you, do I still need to set you up? Do I still need to set you up? Before today, I didn't even know what chaotic martial arts powder was. Su Yu smiled and said, forget it, I don't care about people who can't afford to lose. Prove. Hee, you're not worthy, but I'll let you see it. The next moment, Su Yu looked at Chen Qi over there, he said lightly, Chen Qi, the mountain-breaking bull essence blood originally belonged to you. Now, I will challenge you as the top 3 of the intermediate class monthly test. If you win, the 100 drops of mountain-breaking bull essence blood will belong to you. If you lose, give me 1,000 merit points. Chen Qi was stunned. If I win, it will belong to me. There's no other price. He was stunned. The last time he made an agreement with Su Yu, he had to pay the price. Su Yu said calmly, there's no need. If I lose, so be it. Some trash can't afford to lose. I, Su Yu, can afford to lose. Chen Qi, let me ask you, are you stronger or weaker than this shameless dog? Chen Qi frowned. After a while, he smiled and said, Su Yu, you're very interesting. Do you want to beat me to prove that you're stronger than him? Do you still need to prove that? Even if Lin Yao is at his peak, I'll beat him in 3 moves. If you ask anyone present, who will deny it? Lin Yao, what do you think? Lin Yao's expression was ugly, but he did not say a word. Su Yu smiled and said, that's good. Then if I beat you, will it prove that what this dog said just now was all a lie? It was afraid of losing to me and wanted to renege on its debt, so it acted on its own and did such a laughable and generous thing. Chen Qi smiled and said slowly, of course, if you could defeat me, would you still need to scheme against Lin Yao? What a joke. Su Yu, are you really going to challenge me? At this moment, he was excited. Su Yu, in order to prove himself, actually challenged him first. Moreover, the conditions had changed. If he lost, he had to pay with his blood essence. If he won, he would get 1,000 merit points. If he won, then he did not need to give the things that he had promised before. His plan to scheme against Lin Yao had failed, but Su Yu had actually taken the bait. Could it be that the heavens were helping him? He had schemed against Lin Yao. It had clearly happened this morning, but who knew that Lin Yao would discover it? At this moment, Chen Qi could not think about it anymore. He only knew that he had taken advantage of the situation. Chen Qi's face revealed a rich smile. Around him, the students' expressions also changed. Among the intermediate class students, someone shouted, "Class monitor, don't be rash. They are in cahoots, they are deliberately provoking you. Shameless, they are just trying to plot against class monitor's mountain-breaking ox blood essence." Many students were extremely angry. It was obvious that they were deliberately plotting against Su Yu. Unfortunately, Su Yu was blinded by anger at this moment. He actually challenged Chen Qi, who was in the intermediate stage of recuperation, who was in the Qianjun 7th stage. He was courting death. Su Yu raised his hand, he said calmly, "It's fine. I'm fine. These shameless people have angered me. I, Su Yu, have always been honest with others. Today, I was slandered by others. Today, I defeated Chen Qi. If Lin Yao doesn't give me an explanation, I will settle the score with him." Su Yu jumped and instantly appeared on the stage. "Qianjun!" Someone shouted in a low voice. "Chen Qi, get on the stage." Chen Qi also froze slightly. He had entered Qianjun. This kid's improvement was too fast. Chen Qi's expression changed and he instantly jumped onto the stage. At this moment, a few researchers descended from the sky. Lu Hong was there and so was Huang Yao. Huang Yao looked at Su Yu and said seriously, "We heard what happened just now. Are you sure you want to use this method to prove yourself?" "Yes, I want to tell Lin Yao that he doesn't understand my world. He doesn't understand the world of geniuses. The strong disdain to scheme against the weak, especially those who are useless." "You." Huang Yao frowned. He was too impulsive. Huang Yao sighed in his heart and said, "Then I have nothing to say. The challenge can be established until you admit defeat." Su Yu did not say anything. Chen Qi also did not say anything. Seeing this, Lu Hong said calmly, "If you have no objections, Assistant Huang and I will be the judges. Are the two of you sure you want to challenge?" "Yes. Yes." "Then, the challenge begins." As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yu directly swallowed the iron-wing bird essence blood. His aura soared. In the next moment, a black blade flashed and appeared. The killing intent on it was overflowing, shocking everyone. Lightning flashed as killing intent erupted. Lightning, blood, killing intent. At this moment, they merged into one. Yuan Qi surged as Wan Shi's aura erupted. "Break the wall." A furious roar resounded in all directions. Kill! Qin Chi's expression changed drastically. He was not the only one. At this moment, Lu Hong and Huang Yao's expressions changed. The saber was unleashed. Fast, extremely fast. A top-tier yellow-rank scribe. 3 divine runes. 10,000 stone combat power. Everything was incomparably fast. With a poochie sound, the small black blade pierced through Qin Chi's arm and nailed him firmly onto the stage. Su Yu's face turned slightly pale. He snorted coldly and did not look at him anymore. He turned his head to look at Lin Yao below the stage. Trash, a useless person. You're not worthy to compete with me, Su Yu. The whole arena was dead silent. On the stage, only Qin Chi was nailed to the ground. His eyes were dull, just like Hu Wenxing from that day. At this moment, Lu Hong and the others could not help but think of the scene when Bai Feng defeated Hu Wenxing in one strike. It was too similar. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 358, Too Many Idiots 1. Chapter 358, Chapter 104 Too Many Idiots 1. In the arena, Su Yu's words caused the entire arena to fall silent. Qin Chi, who was in the intermediate stage of recuperation and had the potential to compete for the top 100, was defeated in one move and instantly killed. This scene was out of everyone's expectations. No one had expected that Su Yu would win so cleanly and so tyrannically. In the next moment, everyone's gazes landed on Lin Yao. Lin Yao's gaze was dull, and his face was pale. Su Yu would plot against him. Such a powerful Su Yu who defeated Qin Chi in one move, would plot against a Lin Yao who had just entered the critical mass. And even drugged him. Would they believe it? No one would believe it. Self-directed and self-acted. A clown-like character. How laughable. Su Yu didn't need any evidence at all. This was the best proof. He didn't even need to use a single move to defeat you. After a moment of silence, in the next moment, while the intermediate class students were still in shock, someone suddenly shouted, "Class monitor is mighty. Class monitor is too awesome. Class monitor." They were excited and hot-blooded. The students were extremely excited. Just now, some of them really had some doubts and started to waver. Did Su Yu really plot against Lin Yao? At this moment, all doubts were gone. All doubts were gone. Su Yu, who could defeat Qin Chi in one move, disdained to plot against Lin Yao and dirted his own hands. Just as Su Yu had said, how could he waste his efforts to plot against Lin Yao? Below the stage. A few of the current batch's evildoers had solemn expressions as they looked at Su Yu solemnly. Some of the experts from the previous years who had come to watch the show also had solemn expressions. There were even a few experts from the top 100 who were on high alert at this moment. In a corner, Wu Lan's mouth was wide open. She was dumbfounded and no longer had her pride. She muttered, "He defeated Qin Chi." Even though she looked down on Qin Chi, she knew that she was no match for Qin Chi. But now, Qin Chi had lost to Su Yu in one move. Beside her, Lin Qing, who had come to watch the show with her, also had a heavy expression on his face. The strength that he unleashed previously reached 10,000 stones, and it seems like he swallowed some blood essence. He doesn't have the strength of 10,000 stones, but he's at the third stage of Qianjun realm. Lon, what was his strength like the last time he was in the Southern Origin realm? He just entered the 9th stage of Yuan opening realm. So fast. Lin Qing said solemnly, in the past 2 months, he opened 36 apertures. On June 25, Su Yu had just entered the 9th level of vital essence. That meant that in the past 2 months, Su Yu had opened 36 apertures, and within 2 days, he had opened less than 1. As for her, Lin Qing, in reality, was only at the 7th level of vital essence. Of course, her recuperation had reached its peak, which meant that her full capacity had reached more than 90%. In the path of fighters, she had opened 48 more openings than Su Yu. According to Su Yu's speed, he could catch up to her in 3 months. As for recuperation, Su Yu's cultivation speed of willpower was even more terrifying than the path of fighters. Xia-chan, this guy, seems to be a little scary. At this moment, on the other side, the current batch of evildoers were also in shock. Wan Mingzi said, Xia-chan, are you confident? Xia-chan frowned, and after a while, she said faintly, if this is the only way, the outcome will only be known after the fight. After saying that, she said calmly, what about you? Wan Mingzi smiled and said, he consumed the blood essence and suddenly erupted with the strength of 10,000 stones. It should be related to the research of the many divine languages. If he didn't consume the blood essence, he naturally wouldn't be my opponent. But under the circumstances of consuming it, let's see how long he lasts. Under a forceful attack, I might not be able to last for long. In other words, Su Yu did not last long. He was confident that he could hold on and then kill Su Yu. The confidence that came from a monster. Even if Su Yu defeated Qin Chi, it was not a big deal. After saying this, Wan Mingzi looked at Lin Yao and smiled. He said softly, this idiot can be considered to have done a good thing. Without him, Su Yu might not have revealed his full strength. Defeating Lin Yao was too easy for Su Yu. Without Lin Yao's trouble, Su Yu might not have been exposed. According to Su Yu's thoughts, although he could not appear too cowardly, he could not be too strong either. Otherwise, what if Qin Chi scared him away? In the end, Qin Chi went up first. Su Yu held back his anger and naturally went all out. He did not hold back at all. At the back of the arena, Jia Mingzhen and a few other old geniuses were also watching the battle. At this moment, what they were concerned about was not victory or defeat, but that drop of blood essence. The little fatty Jia Mingzhen frowned and said, over at the Wentan Research Center, is it already stable enough to produce the 10,000 stone innate blood essence? If that's the case, it's best if the Academy can participate. Hong Tan won't give it. Someone denied, 10,000 stone innate blood essence is stable, but it can only be considered average. If we have the soaring innate blood essence, then we really have to participate. On the heavenly battlefield, 10,000 stone innate blood essence was the mainstream and soaring innate blood essence was strong. If one could burst out with soaring battle strength, then it would be worth investing in wantonly. 10,000 stone realm was too many on the heavenly battlefield. Bursting out with 10,000 stone innate blood essence was really nothing. However, it would be amazing if one could unleash the power of 10,000 stone realm warriors. It was too easy to kill 1,000 stone realm warrior. I wonder if the cost is high, an elder said softly, if the cost is not high, the blood essence of 10,000 stone realm warriors can be promoted. After all, there are a large number of 1,000 June realm warriors in the army. I'm afraid it is not cheap. Not to mention the cost of research and development, the cost of blood essence of 10,000 stone realm warriors is probably 10 times that of ordinary blood essence. If it is 50 merit points per drop, it is not worth it. It is not suitable for promotion. The cost was too high. On the battlefield of the heavens, killing an early stage 10,000 merit points would only cost 10 merit points. In the end, the explosive blood essence required 50 merit points, so it was not worth promoting. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 359, Too Many Idiots 2. Chapter 359, Chapter 104, Too Many Idiots 2. Jia Mingzhen did not continue talking about this. He looked at Su Yu again and said with a smile, this kid has improved a little too quickly, now that he's so imposing, do you want me to suppress him and use this opportunity to defeat him with one punch? The others looked at him one after another. Could he be a human being? He had just reached the peak of his life. If you were to send him to hell in the blink of an eye, he would die. Cough cough, wait a moment. We are still at the stage where we are advancing by leaps and bounds. Xia Chan and the others have yet to make a move, and they haven't even entered the top 100. It's not a good thing to be dealt a heavy blow now. It will take some time. The other pavilion elders tried to dissuade him. To stimulate a genius, they had to do it step by step. To make a move now was too evil. He was simply inhuman. On the stage, Su Yu did not look at Lin Yao anymore. He looked at Lu Hong and said, "Teacher, did I win?" Lu Hong nodded and did not say anything. Upon seeing this, Su Yu did not ask any further. He walked towards Chen Qi, who was still in a daze. He squatted down and the black knife instantly disappeared from his shoulder as blood flowed out. Su Yu did not say anything. He took out a drop of yuan qi liquid and dripped it into the wound. The wound slowly recovered. Chen Qi raised his head to look at him. At this moment it was still difficult to hide his dejected state. Su Yu said calmly, "I have to take it out on you. We have already agreed on a duel. I, Su Yu, am not stupid. How can I easily agree to a duel that I am not confident in? I can only say that you, Chen Qi, have underestimated me. If you have underestimated me, then don't blame me for defeating you in the arena. The mountain-shattering bull essence blood was won by my teacher. I, Su Yu, did not snatch it by force. Back then, your teacher did not agree to use it as a wager. Naturally, there was no such thing. If you are willing to bet, then you must admit defeat. If you lose, then you lose. If you insist on pestering me, how can you become a strong person with such a mentality?" Chen Qi's mouth was dry, and his face changed again and again. After a long time, he said with a hoarse voice, "Su Yu, so, you have the confidence to beat me from the beginning? It's because of that drop of essence blood." Su Yu replied, "Yes and no. I have 3 levels of life and death, willpower and character, and 3 divine runes. I have the literature and weapons in my hands. Today, I only want to prove myself, and I don't want to argue with that trash, Lin Yao. If I really fight with you, even if I don't use the essence blood, you will definitely be careless when you fight with me. If I suddenly burst out, can you really beat me?" Su Yu said frankly, "With your belittling heart, even if my strength is not as good as yours, I still have a chance to defeat you. Chen Qi, do you think you will be wary of me from the start?" Chen Qi was dejected. Yes, Su Yu was right. Even if he did not consume his blood essence today and fought with him on the arena for a long time, Su Yu would have shown weakness first and suddenly burst out with a civil war. If he was careless, he might not be able to win for sure. Su Yu did not say anything else and helped Chen Qi up. Chen Qi was still dejected. He lowered his head and did not say a word. At this moment, Su Yu no longer cared about him. He looked down at Lin Yao once again. "Lin Yao, at this moment, my yuan qi is exhausted and my willpower is exhausted. Didn't you say that I schemed against you? Come up to the stage and see if I can defeat you in this state. To deal with trash like you, even if I, Su Yu, exhaust everything, defeating you, is a piece of cake." Su Yu's aura surged. Resounding. "Didn't you say that you disdained to fight with me? Didn't you say that your sea of will was in turmoil? Alright, now that my willpower is exhausted and my yuan qi is exhausted, come on stage and I'll still defeat you." Lin Yao's face flushed red. Go on stage. If he went on stage now, even if he defeated Su Yu, he would still be a joke in everyone's eyes. There would also be more notoriety, shamelessness, and meanness. This would further solidify his reputation of bullying the weak and fearing the strong. If he won, he would be scolded. If he lost, then he wouldn't have to live anymore. He had even fought once, and Su Yu, who had exhausted everything, was inferior to him. Then, he really didn't need to live anymore. He could just die. There was no benefit to winning, and there was no benefit to losing even more. What stage? Moreover, Su Yu was actually so powerful. It was really out of his expectations. He had originally thought that even if Su Yu was strong, he would at most be slightly stronger than him. But now, reality proved that Su Yu was much stronger than him. Even if he did not consume that strange drop of blood essence, he was still inferior to Su Yu. Below the stage, everyone looked at Su Yu and Lin Yao. Someone said in admiration, "Su Yu, good job." Even when dealing with a defeated opponent, he still maintained his bearing. From what he said, he had already made an agreement with Qin Chi. Qin Chi is really thick-skinned. He actually made an appointment to fight Su Yu a long time ago. Su Yu's words just now made them realize something. Su Yu and Qin Chi had already made an agreement. Both parties had made an appointment to fight. Today's challenge with Lin Yao was probably just a warm-up exercise. Since that was the case, would Su Yu scheme against Lin Yao? Don't joke around. The other party simply did not take you seriously. He made an appointment to fight with Qin Chi for the sake of the blood essence. Su Yu had never thought that he would lose. He has the bearing of a civilized master. Some people in the crowd agreed. Look at him. He had defeated his opponent and even helped him heal his wounds. With Su Yu's strength and talent, even if he turned around and left, no one would say anything. Qin Chi's skills were not as good as his opponent's. After being defeated by him, what right did he have to demand respect from his opponent? Yet, Su Yu was still so humble. They were concerned about this, but Xia Huyo was not. At this moment, Xia Huyo's face turned pale. Suddenly, he shouted, "Lin Yao, didn't you say before that Su Yu has proven himself? Is your bet with him still good? Then, are you going to admit defeat now or go up and fight with Su Yu again?" He had to say something. He had to say something. *CK, if he didn't say anything, then what about the outcome between him and Su Yu? Then this game, isn't it a waste of time? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories. Chapter 360, Too Many Idiots 3. Chapter 360, Chapter 104, Too Many Idiots. There were quite a number of people who were pressing for merit points. However, the moment Xia Huyo opened his mouth, some people immediately reacted. There were quite a number of people who had bet on Lin Yao's victory, but at this moment, someone immediately said, forget it, forget it. Lin Yao, you're not a match for him. Su Yu has exhausted his vitality and willpower. I think we should just forget about this challenge. Forget it. Lin Yao, let's not compete anymore. Let's compete. How can we not compete? If we don't compete, you have to admit defeat. Can't you afford to lose? Those who had bet on Su Yu spoke up one after another. How could they not compete? Even if they did not compete, they had to admit defeat. If they did not admit defeat, wouldn't that be betting for nothing? Lin Yao's face turned redder and redder. The people beside him who had come with him previously remained silent at this moment. After a while, seeing that Lin Yao had yet to speak, a young man standing beside him sighed softly and suddenly said, I admit defeat on Lin Yao's behalf. After saying that, the young man looked at Su Yu again and said, Lin Yao can afford to lose. Our great Xia Association can also afford to lose. Su Yu, in the path of cultivation, if you can win, you can naturally lose. However, it's a fact that Lin Yao was hit by the chaotic technique powder. The young man slowly said, our great Xia Association will continue to investigate. If Lin Yao acts on his own, then Lin Yao will be expelled by the great Xia Association. From now on, Lin Yao is not qualified to be one of us. But if he is really schemed against, The young man said coldly, then our great Xia association will not sit idly by and do nothing. The person who drugged him will definitely have to pay the price. It's Dai Qing. He has stood up. Someone recognized the young man and said solemnly. Some of the new students did not recognize him and asked in a low voice, who is Dai Qing? Didn't you see the top 100 rankings? Ranked 75th on the top 100 rankings, the vice president of the Great Xia Association mainly recruited genius students from the Great Xia Mansion. They formed their own group. Lin Yao was a high-class student and definitely entered the Great Xia Association. I did not expect Dai Qing to still be willing to stand up at this time. The vice president of the Great Xia Association was the same as the Tianshui Association that Hu Zongqi joined. Hu Zongqi's brother was also the vice president of the Tianshui Association. These small groups would usually have some activities or do some group missions. Like now, when the members were at a disadvantage, they would also help to stand out. Lin Yao came with them today because Lin Yao had been drugged. The Great Xia Association had originally come to seek justice for him. Unfortunately, before he could settle the score with Su Yu had decisively defeated Qin Qi. His previous suspicions had become a joke. On the stage, Su Yu said calmly, just investigate. I did it. I'm waiting for you to take revenge. I didn't do it. It's impossible for you to throw dirty water on me. I'm not a troublemaker, but I'm not afraid of trouble. Su Yu looked around and looked at the crowd. He said in a clear voice, I came to the academy and didn't want to be in the limelight. I just want to cultivate in peace. I've thought about entering the top 100. I've thought about leaving, but I'm actually not willing to participate in some meaningless struggle. The top 100 has resources, can be famous, and receive more training. So I, Su Yu, definitely want to, but this kind of private struggle, if it weren't for them giving out a large number of merit points, I wouldn't care about it. If I don't bully others, then don't even think about bullying me. I have already used the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. Those who want to make a move can rest now. Previously, if he lost, my teacher would naturally think of a way to replenish the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. However, now, there are still people who came to me because of the mountain-shattering bull essence blood. Next time, I won't be able to hold back. The knife won't be aimed at my shoulder. Su Yu jumped off the stage and walked away. The crowd made a path for him. Su Yu walked forward, and behind him, hundreds of intermediate class students followed. Someone shouted, all of us in the intermediate class of the Academy of Divine Arts support the class monitor. Don't think that we are easy to bully. Before you try to smear us, see if we agree or not. The Great Xia Association doesn't belong to the few of you. My brother is one of them. Even people like Lin Yao are accepted. All of them are covered up. It's such a mess. I'll ask my brother to leave the association when I get back. That's right, my sister is also in the Great Xia Association. Previously, she even said that I could join the association as soon as I entered the advanced class. If I were to join an association with a person like Lin Yao, I would definitely not enter. The intermediate class students all felt indignant. In the surroundings, someone laughed and said, that's right. The Great Xia Association is becoming more and more chaotic. It's even worse than our Beifeng Association. If the new students want to join, they can join Beifeng. We treat them equally and won't care about the region. The Tianshui Association also welcomes everyone. We will definitely clean up some black sheep. These associations all added insult to injury. Dai Qing's expression did not change, and he did not say a word. He looked at Lin Yao once more, his gaze somewhat cold. Today, he had to stand up for himself. If he did not stand up, there would also be trouble. The Great Xia Association had come in such an imposing manner. If he did not stand up, how would others view them? However, If they did, their current reaction proved how much trouble they were in. Their reputation had been tarnished by Lin Yao. If they found out that Lin Yao was acting on his own, don't blame him for being impolite. If they lost, they had to be willing to lose. If Lin Yao was afraid to fight and didn't dare to fight with Su Yu, he would use the chaotic technique powder on himself. What was the point of keeping such a person alive? One day, when they were on the battlefield, they had to be careful that he would stab them in the back. There were a lot of deserters in the Myriad clan cult. Lin Yao had such a sign right now. Lin Yao's face was slightly pale. He said in a low voice, "I'll pay for the merit points I lost." Chaotic power powder. I really didn't consume it myself. I didn't expect Su Yu to be so strong, so why would I be afraid of him? Someone must have drugged me.